Good afternoon, everybody. 8 minutes past the hour, 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I am your friend and radio buddy. I am Brian Wilson, and this is The Drive, where we're going to give you 4 solid hours of news and content and analysis and maybe a chuckle or two along the way because, life gets a little dull if we don't have a laugh now and then. So just buckle up. Here we go for this Friday, August 16th edition of The Drive. I'm not big into name calling, when it comes to politics. I've sort of spoken on that before, but I have found the perfect nickname. It doesn't really attack Kamala Harris. It attacks a position that she is now espousing. Kamala Harris today started talking about her economic ideas. And one of the things that she is going to try to do is bring what I would call Soviet-style price controls to your grocery store. That's right. So now they're calling her Comrade Kamala. Yes, Comrade Kamala. Bringing Soviet-style price controls to a grocery store near you because, it works so well over there. That's right. We can't. It's a catchy tune. But if you listen to what the words are, it's about singing about Lenin and communism and all that. But I mean, that's what she's doing. She's bringing a communist style price control, a Soviet era idea that never worked. She wants to bring that to the United States because she thinks that the grocery stores are gouging you. That they're getting excessive profits.
And I will work to pass the first ever federal ban on price gauging on food.
She said gauging, but she meant gouging. She can't even get it right. She can't even read the teleprompter right.
And I will work to pass the first ever federal ban on price gauging on food.
Well, even over at CNN, they have an economic commentator who comes on now and then. Even over there, they weren't buying this idea that we need to have price controls on our food.
Well, first of all, nobody can explain what price gouging means. It's like that old line about pornography. I know it when I see it, in the sense that what does it mean to have an excessive price or an excessive profit margin? That seems to be shorthand for a price or a profit margin that bugs me. That seems too high. So it's very hard to pin down what this would actually mean. If you look at the legislation that, as I mentioned, is already in the Senate, led by Senator Warren and Senator Bob Casey and a slew of others, the particular way that this is written, which is likely to be the template for any proposal that Harris would eventually embrace, is especially bad in that it just bans excessive prices, grossly excessive profit margins, and says that the Federal Trade Commission can use any metric it deems appropriate to decide what that would mean, which basically says, like, it's not going to be markets, it's not going to be supply and demand that's determining how much your grocery store charges you for milk or for eggs. It's going to be some bureaucrat in D.C., which seems like totally unworkable, first of all, for the FTC to be deciding like how much Kroger charges for eggs in Michigan. But it also would be very bad for markets. We've seen this kind of thing tried in lots of other countries before: Venezuela, Argentina, the Soviet Union, etc. It leads to shortages. It leads to black markets. Plenty of uncertainty. And beyond that, the specific way this bill is written might actually increase prices because of some of the other language in it. Things like requiring public companies to disclose in their quarterly reports, their quarterly earnings reports, how they're setting prices, which is a great way to help them collude, which normally we don't want them to do. So anyway, the devil's in the details, I guess, for that bill, but it's really hard for me to imagine any form of legislation that preserves the spirit of what she's proposing that would not be, at best do nothing, at worst cause a lot of harm.
Well, I can think it'd cause a lot of harm. A lot of harm. I mean, when you start talking about shortages and black markets that come up, that is really not beyond the pale. I mean, how is it that you go to the grocery store and you can find whatever it is you want? Well, it's because it is brought to market in a way that gives the people who produce it a reasonable profit. They put their effort into it, just like you put your effort into your job. Your job has value. Their job has value. Their product has value. And they are entitled to make at least a reasonable profit on it. And believe me, prices, profits on food are not outrageous. There's some other areas where, profits are outrageous, but when it comes to food, really not, by and large. And so the Kamala Harris idea would be to have bureaucrats deciding what the cost of goods would be in your city, your town, or your state. How's that going to work out? I mean, because, every time the government gets involved, things get easier and things get better, right? This is scary. This is the antithesis of a free market system that has made America strong and great, the envy of the world. And her idea, they say, there's all this price gouging going on and the shrinkflation. You know what? I'm tired of that conversation. Let's just have a conversation about what that is. Okay, shrinkflation. Biden likes to talk about shrinkflation, and Kamala Harris will no doubt pick that up. Shrinkflation is something that happens to companies. All right, so we're having inflation. By the way, who brought us the inflation, right? Well, if it costs them more to make their product, they can't just eat that. They have to pass it along to you. That's the way it works. If it costs them more to produce it, they don't just out of the goodness of their heart say, well, we'll forego our profit. No, they say, no, if it costs us more, like everything does, then what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to raise the price a moderate amount to take care of that. So, so if you're a company that sells, a certain product, and let's say peanut butter. You're making peanut butter, right? And so all of a sudden, the things that you need to make that peanut butter have gone up, and you have to say, well, I've got to raise the price. I don't want to. So there's a couple of things they can do. Number one, they can raise the price and you pay more, or they can shrink the wrapping, shrink the packaging a little bit and leave it at the same, and you don't get as much product, but you're not paying more. I mean, it's one or the other. It's 6 of one, a half a dozen. Would you rather pay more? Because that's the alternative. And so, shrinkflation, it's just a way that people are trying to survive during these high levels of inflation. Look, it's ridiculous to suggest that we have to have price controls because food is the people who are producing our food are gouging us. That's simply not true. They're simply, subject to the same market pressures that we're all living under. And look, here's Kamala also today talking about, it's so difficult to get by because the bills really add up.
So every day across our nation, families talk about their plans for the future, their ambitions, their aspirations for themselves, for their children. And they talk about how they're going to be able to actually achieve them financially. Because look, the bills add up. Food, rent, gas, back to school clothes, prescription medication. After all that, for many families, there's not much left at the end of the month.
Well, what's really just rich about that is that if you want to know who's truly responsible for inflation, it's the person who's delivering that message, Kamala Harris, who was the tie-breaking vote in the United States Senate that pushed forward the Inflation Reduction Act, which didn't reduce inflation at all. It drove it from 1.4% all the way up to 9.1%, and it's been slowly coming down ever since. It's been a battle every step of the way, but she's responsible for those higher prices. It is her responsibility. She broke the tie. That allowed the measure to go forward, and it led to 9.1% inflation. Ridiculous that she's now out there saying, it's inflation. I get it. It's bad. She never takes responsibility for the thing that she did that caused that high inflation. People who make a product are entitled to make a profit. Now, you have a choice as a consumer. You can say, I can't do that. I don't want to do that. I won't go there. And then maybe you'll find somebody who makes that product a little cheaper, and you'll go over here. Free market. That's the way it works. You know, people can't go too high on the price of their goods because somebody will undercut them and get all of their market share. It doesn't work that way. The thing is, Kamala Harris has absolutely zero understanding of basic economics and supply and demand and how the free market economy works. She doesn't have a clue. But now, you know, look, it can't be our fault. We couldn't possibly be responsible for all of this. So I guess we have to blame it on the people who are making the products because they're gouging us. They're not gouging us. They're responding to market pressures that you have and I have and everyone else has. And when it costs them more to make their product, they have to raise the prices or they have to sell you the same, a little bit less of it for the same price. That's the only way it works. Supply, demand, and free market price pressures. If you wanna have prices come down, Kamala, get out of the stinking way. Get out of the way. But no, ladies and gentlemen, Comrade Kamala, she has a better idea, except that the better idea has failed everywhere that it's been tried. Also, must kill moose and squirrel. It's 20 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock. I'll tell you a guy who understands free markets. It's A.J. McCall and all those guys over at D.T. McCall's. They get it. They know how it is. They've been running a family business for more than 100 years. And they understand you can't gouge the customer. You can't treat them badly. You have to treat them honestly and above board. And that's why they have such a good reputation. And it's why this family-run business has been around here in Middle Tennessee for more than 100 years, growing from 1 to 5 locations over that period of time. So if you need furniture, you need appliances, you need anything for your home or maybe your garden, things power tools to work around the yard, they've got them as well. They got big color TVs, they got gun safes, whatever it is that you need, you're going to find it and you're going to get a decent price over at DT McCall's. They won't gouge you, and they will treat you right. They won't charge you extra for delivery or setup or haul away. That's all included in the price that they quote you. So whatever it is you need for your home, why don't you go to their website to learn more about their 5 convenient locations? It's dtmccalls.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
J.D. Vance, the GOP vice presidential candidate, he's out on the campaign trail today. He was in Wisconsin, and he had to defend Donald Trump due to some reporters' questions. Also, Vance's plane, it ran into an issue today on the way back from Milwaukee. We'll have those stories for you at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, there's Jay Harper in the newsroom, and here in the control room, it's Chris Weber behind the glass pushing the blinky buttons, and I am on my remote location here in bucolic Watertown today, where we had excitement. More on that in a moment. Want to mention that we've been watching the weather. And the way I look at it, I don't know, Jay, if you have a different opinion, let me know. But the way I'm looking at it right now, it looks like most of the weather that we should be concerned about, at least in the first round, is well to the east of Middle Tennessee. It sort of looks like it may have moved out.
Yeah, so. It looks like, though, that tomorrow we may be seeing the results of another system that's kind of going to be hitting us tomorrow afternoon.
I'm not going to be here tomorrow, but on my shift, it looks like we're going to be okay. So, I agree with you. We need to be very weather aware this weekend, for sure. But at least for the next few hours, it looks like most of the storms that we were concerned might develop this afternoon have pretty much moved out of our area and are now to the east of Middle Tennessee. Not to say another band couldn't develop, and we'll keep an eye on it. If it starts to get bad, you can count on us to bring you that information. But do be weather aware this weekend. As I mentioned, it was a red letter day in the history of of Watertown.
All right.
Well, I mean, the Wienermobile came to Watertown. I think I think it was in the 1830s or something that Watertown was established. And I'm pretty sure that ever since 1830, the Wienermobile has probably never been to Watertown until today.
Wow. That is
think about
big stuff there, isn't it?
It could be, and we're hitting the map as a must-stop destination. And I went to see the Wienermobile today, which I've seen at a distance. I used to see it when I would, in Washington, D.C., they would always drive around, the monuments and that kind of stuff, where there are a lot of tourists and stuff, and you would see it and I would see it at a distance, but I never really got to look at it close up. And it was the big one, Chris. It wasn't the little one. Yeah. It was the big one. It's the size of a bus, size of a Winnebago.
The real deal Wienermobile.
It's the real deal Wienermobile, that's right. And so I went over and had my picture took. Why does one take a picture? I'm going to get my picture took. I'm going to get my picture took. So I'm going to get my picture taken.
So you got photographed.
Anyway, one way or the other. I think it's a weird word to use when you're take. I don't know. There not. I guess there's not a better word for it, but it seems strange when you say I got my picture took. I got my picture took over at the Wienermobile, and talked to the Wienermobile people. I did not get a tour on the inside. Which I really was hoping. I hope they would offer, but I wasn't going to be that guy.
You didn't go, don't you know who I am?
No, I didn't do that. I never do that. I never do that. But it was very cool, and it is. If you've never seen it up close, it's really quite a thing. It really is. And so I went over, and the driver was a guy. I know. I assume he's the driver. And then over there at the hospitality tent, they gave me a coupon, a sticker, and a Wienermobile whistle. What do they call it? A
weenie whistle.
Weenie whistle?
Yeah.
Let's see if I can do this. It's not working at all. What did I do? I can't do it.
Your hands are too big.
Well, it was working before.
Total fail, man.
Wow. Am I pushing the wrong button or something? I don't know.
Do you have
here's I'm pushing. I'm blowing in the wrong end.
There we go.
Yeah.
And it's got a little thing that you can make it sort of warble. Drives Grogu crazy. But I'll tell you, it's cool. It's cool. It's all over the place. Apparently, they're stopping at a bunch of Dollar Generals throughout the region. Right. So between now and Sunday, there's a good chance if you keep your eyes open, you may see the Wienermobile.
I drove past one on the interstate one time. I don't remember
Yeah.
where I was, but I just remember driving past it and thinking, "Oh, there's the Wienermobile."
It's not something you see every
No,
day,
it's
and
not.
people are just crazy about this thing. I mean, they all want to go see it, and they want to touch it, and they want to get their picture taken in front of it. So anyway, I posted mine on my social media platforms if you want to take a look at it. But they're very nice people, very nice people. I told
Wiener
them about
ambassadors.
Yeah, they're Wiener ambassadors,
Yeah.
and I told them a story about how I knew somebody who had been a Wiener ambassador, years ago. But I didn't tell them the story about if the Wienermobile is rocking, don't come knocking.
It's probably a
I
good
didn't
thing
think,
you didn't.
Well, it was mixed company. I didn't think it was appropriate. Like it's not appropriate to talk about it on the radio, probably either, for that matter. All right. So listen, this is Phone Your Farb Friday, Phone Your Farb Friday. No, it's Phone Your Farb Friday at 4:35 and 5:35 today. So get your thoughts together. Right now, time for the news at 3:30.
It is 3:30, and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. Mostly sunny, 92 degrees. A forecast and a traffic report are on the way. Now, we've been talking about this accident on 65, Interstate 65 northbound in the Brentwood area. That is around exit 74, around Harding Place. It appears that actually a TDOT contractor that was collecting trash was hit there, was struck by a vehicle and is critically injured. They were picking up bags of previously collected litter on the shoulder of the road near Creve Hall, and the lanes are still blocked there as police continue to investigate. Again, that's 65 northbound near Harding Place. Traffic backed up quite a bit. It's also affecting the southbound traffic in that area. Again, Jack Womack's traffic coming up here in just a bit. Donald Trump's running mate, J.D. Vance, today. He was up in Milwaukee. Here is Mr. Vance when he was asked by a local reporter about those saying Trump needs to focus on policy versus the personal attacks.
The reason that President Trump has been so successful connecting with Americans is even when they disagree with something that he might say, they know that he just is who he is, right? I'd much rather have a political candidate who I disagreed with 25% of the time, but was a real human being and was willing to speak off the cuff, than to have somebody like Kamala Harris who hides behind a teleprompter and doesn't speak to the American people directly.
The plane carrying Vance had to make an emergency landing shortly after takeoff and return back to Milwaukee. In a statement, the Milwaukee airport says that the Boeing 737 charter plane went back to the airport around 1:30 due to a possible issue with the aircraft. Here is the alert from the pilot to air traffic controllers via live ATC.
L1 is leaking and it's extremely loud in the back, but we have no indication that the door itself is open in door L1.
Again, they just returned to the airport out of an abundance of caution. Officials say the plane landed normally and without incident, and it was under its own power. But it's kind of a spooky situation nonetheless. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionality, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
38 past the hour at 3 o'clock on a Friday, August 16th. I'm Brian Wilson. I am your friend and radio buddy, and you're listening to The Drive. We're talking a lot about politics. I mean, even when we're not talking directly about politics, we're talking about politics. Because everything, it seems, sort of has to be looked at through the lens of the looming election. This story, I wish there'd been somebody along the way who would have said something about this before now. If only. The Biden-Harris administration is granting citizenship to immigrants at speeds not seen in over a decade, while a wholly disinterested mainstream media is doing little more than bragging about it. There was a time in this country when journalists would find stealing an election a topic of interest, a threat to democracy, perhaps. Instead, the New York Times recently published a glowing report indicating that over the first 9 months of the fiscal year, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services is averaging under 5 months to process naturalization applications. The process took almost exactly a year on average back in 21. What could possibly be happening in 2024 that would cause the administration to view the process of turning an immigrant into a citizen with the right to vote with such urgency? What could it possibly be? I'll have to think about that one for a while. Listen to a guy by the name of Zhao Wang. He's chief executive of a company called Boundless. They offer services to immigrants seeking help with the naturalization process. Quote, "The surge in naturalization efficiency isn't just about clearing backlogs. It's potentially reshaping the electorate merely months before a pivotal election. Every citizenship application could be a vote that decides Senate seats or even the presidency." That's not subtle at all. Reshaping the electorate has always been the goal, hasn't it? I think we can agree on that. They go on and talk about this a great deal, talking about all the Washington Post had a story where they said that the government has increased resources to grant citizenship to qualified applicants on an expedited basis. So, look, the idea was always there. You've got these people that they are bringing into the country in record. They had no desire to stop them until it got to be a political issue. They were all in favor. We're going to bring them in. We're going to bring them in. We're going to bring them in. And then we're going to find a way to give them a pathway to citizenship. Harris's mindset, listen to this, was exposed on her 2019 campaign website, which linked to a study touting the electoral implications of not deporting some illegal immigrants. This has always been her plan. This has always been their idea. And here's things that they're also doing behind the scenes you haven't heard about. Biden and Harris in 2022 installed a de facto amnesty program in which 200,000 deportation cases were simply thrown out due to Homeland Security's failure to file the proper paperwork on time. Was that an accident? No. I think that the Homeland Security Department, which is also in charge of the Border Patrol and ICE, I think they realized, oh, gosh, we're probably not going to get around to filling out that paperwork in time. And so wouldn't it be a shame if that happened and then they would just have to throw out the deportation cases? Yeah, it was all a plan. They chose to drag their feet. The administration unilaterally patrolled over 1 million illegal immigrants using a 1950s law in an unprecedented way. So there you go. Over 3.3 million immigrants have become naturalized citizens since the two entered the White House. 3.3 million. It is the redstate.com article by Rusty Weiss suggests, without a doubt, an active attempt at reshaping the electorate in a way that could alter the outcome of the 2024 election. So very, very disingenuous. Yeah. Oh, well, we're going to do everything we can to lock down the border. Yeah, after you brought all these people into, maybe 10 million or more people to this country illegally, and now you're going to find a pathway. I guarantee you that if she is reelected, that they will do everything they can to find a pathway to citizenship, to do some backhanded stuff like they did here already, to try to make sure that they have a pathway to citizenship, because they believe that everybody who came in here illegally is probably going to vote Democrat out of gratitude for having found a way to become American citizens without having to go through the regular process. By the way, we don't talk about this enough at all. The cost of illegal immigration is equivalent to the 36th largest economy in the world. Think about that for a moment. From wokespy.com. The total cost of illegal immigration under President Joe Biden's administration would be equivalent to the gross domestic product of the 36th largest economy in the world, according to a report from late last year, now getting attention on social media. Illegal immigration under President Joe Biden's administration has cost the country an estimated $451 billion a year, according to the report released by House Republicans in November of 23. The 50-page report, which was the fourth interim report on Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas' handling of the border crisis, highlights that over 3.8 million illegal immigrants have entered the country since Biden took office in January of 2021. Taxpayer dollars have accounted for costs incurred for health care, education, housing, and enforcement to accommodate the up to 130 million illegal aliens currently in the country. 130 million illegal aliens. Not all of them came in during the Biden time, but we may have as many as 130 million illegal aliens currently in the country. Every day, millions of American taxpayer dollars are spent on costs directly associated with illegal immigration and the unprecedented crisis at the southwest border. Department of Homeland, this was all, of course, the plan of the Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas and his policies. And look, she said, what's interesting is how she's talking. She's talking now. Oh, don't you worry. Don't you give it a second thought. When I become president, I'm going to crack down on this. Why would we expect her to do something different than what they have done for the past 3.5, almost 4 years? Why would we expect that they're going to take a whole different approach when she becomes the president than Joe Biden and Kamala Harris took? Look, I mean, the evidence is pretty clear here. They had a plan from the very beginning. Open up the borders. We don't care. We don't care about the crime. We don't care about how we are putting billions and billions and billions of dollars into the pockets of the coyotes, the cartels that run all of the illegal immigration. And by the way, make a lot of money with the drugs that they smuggle across at the same time because the borders are not secure. I mean, they think not about that. Think not about the fact that a good number of people who've come into this country are probably coming from countries that want to do us harm. I think it's entirely possible that we have people who are deep agents who came across the border, bury themselves into America, and are waiting from orders on high to cause chaos and create havoc inside the United States. They came with that purpose. I mean, listen, I promise you, if one of our enemies or adversaries on the world stage had an open border, we would take advantage of it. We would send our people over there. We'd say, get in there, bury yourself into, just absorb yourself into the life and the fabric of that nation. And when we need you, we'll call you. Deep agents, they're called. We would do it, and you've got to believe they're doing the same thing to us. So don't think about that. Don't think about the national security implications of having very bad people who could come here who are terrorists. They literally are terrorists who came to this country to do bad things. Don't think about that at all. Now, no, what we really want to do is we want to reshape the electorate. We don't care about all of the nasty benefits, and side issues that come along with it. We simply just want to make sure that we can reshape the electorate so that we GOP dominate the political scene and the political forecast for many, many, many years to come. And we stood by and watched it happen. They are responsible for a lot of things. When you talk about $451 billion in cost to our economy, no wonder things are so expensive. No wonder, we're running up a national debt. We're spending money like drunken sailors to support people who came to this country illegally. Oh, we'll take care of them. We'll give them all the health care that they need. We'll give them all the stuff that they need to, just to survive. We'll give them food stamps and we'll give them medical care. We'll do all of that. But they won't do that for you. Well, I mean, Kamala would like to do it for you, but that's a bad idea too. So, look, we stand and we watch, but we should not be surprised. If only, Chris, if I just wish there had been somebody.
Yeah, why wasn't there?
I don't know. I mean, why in the world wasn't there? Why wasn't there somebody who came along and said from time to time, you know what? They're trying to shape the electorate for the coming election. They're going to try to find a pathway. If only somebody had said that.
Oh, that's right.
Wait. I think somebody did. There was somebody who said that. No, and and the truth of the matter is, when I first started saying that, back when this was all starting to happen, I got blasted by people on the other side. I got blasted and said, Wilson, you've got no evidence to show that's the case. I said, no, I saw it coming a mile away, and you did too. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm some clairvoyant. We all saw it coming. And it's been happening to us in slow motion, and there it is. Now we're headed into the election, and there are now 3.3 million immigrants who are now citizens of this country. Some of them came here legally, some of them came here illegally, but they've been rushed to citizenship just in time for the election. And don't discount this. I've been right about it so far. I'm right on this. There are a great number of people who came to this country illegally who are going to find a way to vote in this coming election. It's not that hard to game the system. If you know what you're doing, it's pretty easy to do. And I think that that is the next thing that's going to happen. You'll see a lot of these people finding a way to get to a place where they can cast a vote in this coming election. And it is all on the Biden-Harris administration. 50 minutes now past the hour. Let me tell you about the folks over at Genesis Diamonds. They have the most extreme values on diamond engagement ring, and they have a big sale going on that's coming to an end. You have until Sunday at 5. I said Sunday at 5. Mark that down to get the price of a lifetime on a GIA certified diamond ring. Response has been incredible. People have driven for hours to buy like a dealer buys. All GIA certified diamond rings are on sale. A full 20% discount off Genesis Diamonds everyday amazing value price. We're talking values you never thought possible, from a half carat to 20 carat diamonds, all handpicked for maximum brilliance, all graded by the most prestigious gem lab in the world. Don't be surprised to see jewelry store owners and diamond dealers shopping right alongside you. You have all the cuts: rounds, radiants, pear shapes, ovals, princess cuts, cushion cuts, emerald cuts. Genesis has the largest GIA diamond ring selection you've ever seen, and now through Sunday you can take advantage of this rare buying opportunity. Limit one per customer, please. Get the Genesis no middleman direct importer price minus an extra 20% on all GIA diamond engagement rings. Now through Sunday only at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hill and Cool Springs. See the store for details.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Vice President Harris today revealing her economic proposal should she win the presidency. Word of a possible breakthrough in the Gaza ceasefire talks. And on the anniversary of Elvis's death, an arrest in a Graceland fraud scheme. We'll have those stories at 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
57 minutes now past the hour. Time to take a look at the markets. Another green day. Dow Jones Industrials up 96, S&P up 11, NASDAQ up 37. Not really deep into green territory, but green nonetheless. Let's check in with Ty Draper to find out what is driving the market today. Good afternoon to you, Ty.
Yeah, hey, Brian. It was a very happy Friday as the three major indexes posted positive gains for the week, and the NASDAQ gaining a positive 5.2%. The recessionary fears eased this week as both retail sales and jobless claims restored confidence in the American consumer. Over 78% of the companies in the S&P 500 surpassed analyst expectations, and with major retailers like Lowe's and Target reporting earnings next week, will these reports push the S&P 500 past its July record high, or will market volatility continue like the dizzy dragon ride at the fair? We'll just tune into next week's market to find out.
All right. Thank you much, Ty Draper. Find out what Ty and John Maxon and all the good people over at Beacon Capital Management can do to help you get ready for your retirement. Just go to their website, askbeaconnow.com. 58 minutes past the hour. Hey, if you're a fan of Legend Steakhouse like I am, you can enjoy some of those same flavors at home, right on your very own grill. Just take a walk down your local grocery store aisles, places like Walmart and Kroger, and look for Johnny Fleeman's very own brand. You'll look for his marinade. It's a proprietary blend that will give your steaks, chicken, or chops a flavor that will hit a home run with family and friends. It's low in sodium, about a third of other brands, so you don't have to worry about over-marinating. And don't forget to check out his honey mustard salad dressing. Use it as a salad dressing or a dipping sauce for your favorite chicken fingers, fresh cut veggies, or chips, a recipe that he has used in his restaurants for over 35 years. And if your favorite grocer isn't stocking Johnny Fleeman products, ask them to do so. For more information, visit johnnyfleeman.com. And it goes without saying, for those times when you want someone else to do the cooking, they'll always be glad to see you at your nearest Legend Steakhouse for lunch or for dinner.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, californiaclosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, californiaclosets.com.
Good afternoon. It's 4 p.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. Mostly sunny, 93 degrees. A weather forecast and a traffic report are on the way. Vice President Kamala Harris today promoting a set of economic proposals at a campaign stop in Raleigh, North Carolina. ABC's Elizabeth Schulze reacts to the cost of the VP's economic program proposal.
Very little mention in that speech just now about how to pay for this. Yes, we know that the vice president has talked about raising taxes on the wealthiest Americans and corporations. That's a continuation of the policy we've seen under the Biden administration when you think about some of that deficit reduction. But when you look at the numbers, not a lot of deficit reduction going on there.
The U.S., Egypt, and Qatar releasing a statement following 2 days of Gaza ceasefire talks, with mediators saying they will continue to work next week on closing the gaps in another round of talks in Cairo. Sources telling ABC the progress has been made, though it is still soon to announce a real breakthrough. Here is an optimistic President Biden.
We are closer than we've ever been. I don't want to jinx anything, but as my grandfather said, with the grace of God, good little neighbors, a lot of luck, we may have something.
It was 47 years ago today that Elvis Presley passed away at his Memphis estate. Well, a woman today has been charged with trying to fraudulently obtain the Graceland mansion and millions of dollars from the music icon's family. Here's ABC's Brian Clark.
Federal prosecutors say Lisa Finley plotted to defraud Elvis Presley's family out of millions of dollars and ownership of the iconic Graceland mansion by claiming that Lisa Marie Presley, Elvis's daughter, pledged Graceland as collateral for a $3.8 million loan she signed before she died. However, federal prosecutors say Lisa Marie Presley never signed a loan, and Finley's entire scheme, including the documents she produced, was fraudulent.
And very sad news in the race car world. Award-winning dirt track race car driver Scott Bloomquist died today after a plane crash in Tennessee in Hawkins County. According to the FAA, a single-engine Piper J3 crashed into a barn near Mooresburg. That happened about 8 o'clock this morning. The Hawkins County Sheriff's Office confirming to media outlets that Mr. Bloomquist was the only occupant of that aircraft. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionality, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
7 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock. I'm Brian Wilson. Hour number 2 of the drive now kicking off on Friday, the 16th of August. I want to remind you that at the bottom of the hour after the news, Phone Your FARB Friday, where we take your best thoughts, and we love it when you are out there and you have something interesting to say. And so we open up the phone lines for. It's just a free-for-all, so that'll happen at 4:35 and again at 5:35. Listen, I don't make too big a point of it, but we do compare the 4 o'clock calls against the 5 o'clock calls and decide who did the better job. It's no wagering. It's not really like a competition.
But the pressure's on.
But the pressure's on. Yeah. So bring your best stuff, 4 o'clock hour.
Don't disappoint us.
And then we'll see whether the 5 hour can top it. Time for our 2024 update because, man, we got so much political news. We can't squeeze it all into one or two of these segments because, really, honestly, everything that happens right now, you have to view through the lens of the looming election. And so we got a lot of ground to cover. Let's start with this. Harris campaign agrees to 2 debates. Trump has proposed 3, but they'll say, we'll do 1. They're going to do the ABC debate, and they say that they will do another debate sometime in October, but the details of that are yet to be worked out. They haven't worked out where it would be, which network would cover it. Everybody's got their bid in, but that debate continues. I'm sure Trump is pushing for a Fox debate, and I'm sure she's pushing for anything but a Fox debate. But one way or the other, there will be 2 debates between Trump and Kamala Harris, and then there will be 1 debate between J.D. Vance and Tim Walz. We have some details about the debate that's going to take place on September 10th. It's the ABC debate. ABC, which is hosting the presidential debate between Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump, has revealed new details. It will take place in Philadelphia at the National Constitution Center, 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 8 o'clock Middle Tennessee time. David Muir, the anchor of World News Tonight, and Lindsay Davis, an ABC News anchor and correspondent, will serve as moderators of the debate. The debate will be available to watch on ABC, ABC News Live, Disney Plus, and Hulu. The new details were released a day after the Harris-Walz campaign announced that the vice president is prepared to hold no more than 2 debates with Trump, who has pushed for more debates against his rival. So we don't know where the other one is going to be as yet. We know that the CBS has the vice presidential debate. So it would seem that it's probably coming down between Fox and NBC for that second presidential debate, and we'll see how that works out. Okay. I'm not going to be engaging in a lot of numbers, but I thought this was interesting. This is what we call the Neapolitan News Service Survey, and I think the Rasmussen organization did some of the work on this. They asked the question of 2,708 likely voters. Among those who will either definitely vote or very likely to vote, they didn't talk to anybody else. If the presidential elections were held today, would you vote for Democrat Kamala Harris, Republican Donald Trump, or Independent Robert Kennedy? Trump, 46. Democrat Kamala Harris, 45. Independent Robert Kennedy Jr. at 5. Then they pushed, and they said, because there were some people who said they weren't sure, right? And so they ask a second question. If you say, I don't know, or I'm not sure, or someone else, here we go. Suppose you had to make a choice right now. This is what they call the twisting of the arm. If I twisted your arm and made you tell me, if you had to make a choice right now to either vote for Donald Trump or Kamala Harris, whom would you vote for? 49% of the undecided said Donald Trump. 47% of the undecided said Democrat Kamala Harris. 2% said they would vote for Independent Robert Kennedy Jr. Rasmussen poll comes out, and if this is a harbinger of things to come, you never look at one poll, but I'll go ahead and give you the details of it. It may seem that the sugar high, the Kamala Harris sugar high is over. Kamala Harris has chipped away at Donald Trump's lead in the 2024 presidential race, but Trump leads Harris in a two-way matchup among U.S. voters. Now they say 49 to 45. compared to last week when he led by 5 points. Other candidates added to the lineup include the Green Party presidential candidates Jill Stein, Libertarian Party candidate Chase Oliver, Independent candidates Robert Kennedy and Cornel West. Trump leads Harris 48-44. Here's the internals. You look at the internals, they give you a lot of details. Harris has a 1-point lead among voters under 40 and has narrowed Trump's advantage among those 65 and older. Trump leads by a wider margin among men, 50% to Harris's 44%, but Harris has the women 49-47%. In terms of handling the policy toward the Mideast, 53% of voters trust Trump more, 40% say they would trust Harris more. 42% view Tim Walz favorably, including 27% with a very favorable impression. Well, that's because they don't know him. Wait till they get to know him. It is true, I think you have to say, one way or the other, maybe it's turning around. Maybe we've hit the high water mark. I don't think so, because we're about to go into the Democrat convention, and traditionally there is a little Democrat bump. So I think it may get, a little more toward Harris before it starts to turn around. But I think it will turn around. Here we go. The gap is closed, and we told you about the New York Times Siena poll that's in the battleground states where things are looking, more favorable for Kamala Harris. But the question is it real? Will it last? Is this just a a honeymoon phase, a sugar high, as they say? Image is a precursor to ballot change. You'll see her image change before the ballot changes. You'll see her unfaves go up, her very unfaves in particular. Because when we start to tell everybody who she is and what she stands for, like, as we told you earlier, Soviet-style price controls at your grocery store, that will change. With Kamala Harris, it's like a star is born, said Mark Millman, who's a Democrat pollster. It's not unreal, it's not unnatural, it's not fake, but it's not necessarily permanent. I can imagine a situation where both candidates' favorabilities decline in the coming days. I'm worried about voter integrity a lot more these days. Many states have laws, according to the Federalist, requiring counties to hire an even mix of election workers to create poll worker parity, with the goal of, as close as possible, 50% Democrat, 50% Republican poll workers. That is the case, for example, in Michigan, where the law requires election commissioners to appoint equal numbers as nearly as possible of election inspectors, a.k.a. poll workers, in each election precinct from each major political party. But in the city of Detroit, Michigan, battleground state, where the heavily Democrat vote can outweigh the Republican-leaning vote in the rest of the state, approximately 10% of poll workers hired for the August 6th primary were Republican. This is the one we just had, according to city records obtained by the Watch Group. 10%. The other 90% were Democrats. So if that is an example of what we're likely to see in the coming election, we should be very concerned to make sure we have an equal or close to an equal number of Republican poll watchers. Because, you're a poll worker, you're in a position to say, hey, I saw stuff that wasn't right, and raise the flag. But if there aren't many of them out there, then that won't happen. So that's something I'm very concerned about. Also concerned about more and more the mail-in ballots that are handled by the U.S. Postal Service. Because think about it, the Postal Service is the largest voting precinct in America. A lot of people will cast their ballots not at a voting precinct, but through the mail, making the postal carriers and the people at the post office the biggest voting precinct in America. New audits released last month, according to the Federalist again, from the U.S. Postal Service Office of the Inspector General, confirmed that many U.S. Postal Service facilities are failing to follow proper election mail procedures. These USPS service problems threaten the security of votes cast by mail-in the coming election. The independent USPS Office of the Inspector General, The OIG conducts audits, evaluations, research, and investigations to fulfill its mission of ensuring efficiency, accountability, and integrity in the U.S. Postal Service. In November of 23, the OIG commenced a self-initiated audit of election mail readiness for the 2024 general election. The audit aimed to evaluate the Postal Service's readiness for the timely processing and delivery of election and political mail for the 2024 general election and was conducted at 15 judgmentally selected mail processing facilities and 35 delivery units located in 13 states and Puerto Rico during the primary elections in February and March of 2024. The audit findings identified 3 primary areas of concern, stating that opportunities exist for the Postal Service to improve readiness for timely processing and delivery of election and political mail for the 2024 general election, with only around 3 months to go until Election Day. One of them, lack of compliance with election mail and political mail policies. They're not following the rules. Operational risks to timely processing and delivery of election mail. This audit finding how operational risk could delay timely processing and delivery of election mail. If you have an election mailing that goes out but it doesn't get to you before the election, well, it didn't do any good, right? If you put it in the system, you expect that it's going to get there before the election so that people on the receiving end can take the information, consider it, and maybe it would inform their vote. Number 3. There's a new rules and regulations for USPS operations, and this is a little in the weeds to get into, but it's the way they process their mail now. They do some things that on average make things arrive quicker, but there are times that the average goes against you. In other words, when you're looking at the big picture, they try to make it more efficient, but in some cases, some pockets end up getting service that's not as good so that they can make the whole experience for more people better. Well, that doesn't work when you're trying to get information in a timely way to people who are casting their ballots. Some other things real quick. I think these are important things. Polls show support for marijuana legalization, rescheduling, and industry banking access in 3 key battleground states. And the thing is, they're going to be pot-related questions on the ballot in key battleground states, which may drive people who, let's say, are a little left of center. I don't know. Just saying, maybe they're a little left of center, may drive them to go to the poll in greater numbers because they care about that issue greater than others, something to watch. And then here's a bit of good news for our side. Yay. Voters have left the Democrat Party en masse over President Joe Biden's tenure. Overall, Republicans saw a net gain of nearly 400,000 registered voters since November of 2020. Democrats have hemorrhaged nearly 3 million. Democrats suffered net losses in every state except California, where they gained a net of 71,000, a state which only Democrats could think is heading in the right direction. Democrats seen major losses in Florida, New York, swing state of Pennsylvania. So there you go. Republicans have seen gains in California, Florida, New Jersey, though the margins aren't enough to flip California and New Jersey. It does help, nonetheless. So a little bit of good news. More people registering as Republicans than have registered as Democrats for the coming election. That's a bit of good news. I'll take that. 21 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk. Busy bee when you need heat or cold AC. Right now, of course, you still need the AC, and if it's not working right and you say, well, it's time to replace that old unit, purchase a new high-efficiency unit and register to win the Healthy Hive giveaway. If you win, you'll be able to give a $2,000 sponsorship to a local school of the winner's choice. Must be within the service area and not out of region or out of state. And as long as they got another back-to-school special here, if you buy a membership to the Beehive Club, which you should do, they start at $99, and for that you get 3 maintenance service visits on your various systems, your AC, your heat, your plumbing, And then you can then give a free Beehive membership to a teacher or a faculty member or someone who works at the staff of a local school within the Busy Bee service area. Schools must be within the service area, not out of region or out of state schools once again. They got some other things, plumbing specials for the month of August. $300 off a tankless water heater conversion. You've been thinking about a tankless water heater? There's a good chance to do that. $500 off main drain and main water line replacement. $500 off a home drain repipe. $700 off a home water repipe. Listen, here's the number, 615-775-7833. Learn more at busybhvac.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
A T-Dot contractor struck on Interstate 65 this afternoon, and that's causing quite the traffic backup. That person reportedly in critical condition. We'll have that story, as well as today's closing money news, coming up at 4:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
25 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson, your friend and radio buddy, and you're listening to The Drive. Again, a reminder at 4:35 after the news, Phone Your FARB Friday. Get your thoughts together. We want you to have cogent, we want to speak with clarity. We want you to be concise and to the point. And comical if you got it, but if you don't got it, don't try.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than forced comedy.
Humor, it's a difficult concept, Captain. It is. It is a very difficult concept. Okay, every once in a while I come across a story and I say, why aren't we hearing more about this? This is huge. I always look at news and I say, what makes a news story a really important story? And the thing that I always come up with is it has to do with the number of people that it impacts. We tell a story about something that happened and you say, well, that's interesting, but it doesn't affect me. And I understand that. But when you find those rare stories that impact everyone, and in this particular case in a very negative way, I don't understand why there aren't screaming headlines on every major news channel and in every major publication, every major website. This ought to be getting people's attention because it's big. It's really big. Now, I gave it to you yesterday in sort of a different context, but I just want to have this to stand alone and focus on this story for a moment. Hackers have stolen an unprecedented amount of sensitive personal information from billions of people in America and around the world. Billions. This has to do with a hacking group known as USDOD, and they stole data from a company called Public Data, NPD, National Public Data. According to reports, a member of the group released almost all of the data for free on an online marketplace in exchange for other stolen personal data. So if you go to the dark web and you say, hey, I've got some information here. I've got these credit cards, that I got off of a skimmer, and I'm willing to trade you this for what you have. They would give you the entire, the whole kahuna, everything that they have stolen, billions and billions of documents. We learned this because of a lawsuit filed in U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Florida. Hackers may have stolen every American Social Security number and physical address from the National Public Data. That's about 2.9 billion with a B records. This is one of the largest data breaches of all time. Here's the LA Times. According to a class action lawsuit filed in U.S. District Court in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, the hacking group USDOD claimed in April to have stolen personal records of 2.9 billion people from National Public Data, which offers personal information to employers, private investigators, staffing agencies, and others doing background checks. The group offered in a forum for hackers to sell the data, which included records from United States, Canada, and the United Kingdom for $3.5 million. Then last week, a purported member identified only as Felice told the hacking forum that they were offering the full database, that the stuff that he had stolen from NPD, according to a screenshot taken by Bleeping Computer. It's apparently somebody who does this kind of work and reports on hacks. The information consists of 2.7 billion records, which include a person's full name, address, date of birth, social security number, and phone number, along with alternate names and birth dates. Well, if you got a birth date, a name, an address, and a social security number, man, how many things does that unlock? That's like the keys to the castle right there, isn't it? A name, an address, a social security number, a phone number, and a birth date. Well, you have that person's entire. You can have their you can attack their credit. You can get credit in your own name. But more importantly, I'm worried about what impact this might have on the coming elections. People would use this information to get what they need to vote, even if they're not authorized to vote. Consumer Watchdog Director for the U.S. Public Information Research Group said that if the USDOD is telling the truth, the hack is much more severe than previous ones. National Public Data has not yet officially notified people about the alleged breach. And here's what I was saying. Hackers could also rig vote counts in November if they access such personal information. Folks, remember, you heard it here first. There is some reporting on this, but not near enough. You might want to put a freeze on your credit so that people can't take out additional credit in your name. 31 minutes past the hour, time for the news.
Good afternoon. It's 4:31. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. Mostly sunny, 93 degrees. The forecast and the latest traffic report are on the way. Well, traffic on I-65 northbound before Harding Road still being disrupted quite a bit as a result of a TDOT contractor being struck while picking up trash on the side of the interstate. No other immediate details about the incident have been released. State data shows that within the first 6 months of this year, Davidson County alone has seen 108 pedestrian crashes. We now turn to today's closing money news. For that, we have Chuck Sievertson.
From ABC News, Wall Street now. Wall Street coasted to the close of its best week since last November. U.S. stock indexes drifted higher. The Dow gained 97 points. The S&P 500 added 11. And the NASDAQ index closed 37 points higher. A surge in optimism by Democrats over the prospects of Vice President Harris lifted U.S. consumer sentiment slightly this month. University of Michigan's index edged up to 67.8 after coming in at 66.4 in July. Americans' expectations for the future rose while their assessment of current economic conditions sank slightly. California Governor Newsom has signed a bipartisan package of 10 bills to crack down on retail theft. It includes some of the most consequential laws to tackle professional crime rings in years. The new laws make it easier to go after repeat shoplifters, auto thieves, and stolen goods resellers. Benchmark U.S. crude oil and Brent crude closed lower today.
That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Let me tell you about King and Associates Insurance in Brentwood, 25 years as an independent agency. And let me tell you something. That may sound like something you're not familiar with, but it's something you need to get familiar with because it can really save you a lot of money and give you a lot better insurance than you have right now. You see, as an independent agency, they don't have to take the one product that they sell and sort of, try to take a square peg and shove it into a round hole. No, they won't do that. Now, what they'll do is they'll shop around at a whole bunch of different options and come to you with the best of the options, the one that most perfectly fits your insurance need. And that's what you end up with, and this is what you want, is more bang for your insurance buck. You want the most amount of insurance for the least amount of money, and they will help you find that. And they have a lot of different options available. Call this number, 615-329-8121. You don't reach a call center. You don't reach a phone tree. You get an actual person every time. They will help you find the answer that you're seeking or get in touch with somebody right away who can. They are the kings of the multi-policy discount, 20, 25, 30, 35%. Huge savings are possible. So get your royal review with King & Associates today. Just log into tkinginsurance.com. Again, tkinginsurance.com. King Insurance & Associates, royal treatment and great rates.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionality, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
.38 past the hour right now, 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Without further ado, let's jump right into it. Time for another exciting edition of Phone Your Farb Friday. I want to know what's on your mind today. Here's the number, 615-737-9986. Phone Your Farb Friday. This is an opportunity for you to get up on our 100,000-watt soapbox and express yourself. Maybe you got a bee in your bonnet. Maybe you got a burr in your saddle. Maybe you got a bug in a place where I hope that you don't ever have a bug. But just climb right up and tell us what's on your mind within boundaries, because it is a family show. All right? So, maybe you have a thought about something you've heard us talk about. Maybe you have an opinion you think is needing to be expressed. Maybe you want to take umbrage with something I've said, and we can still be friends and have a discussion about it. 615-737-9986. Got a lot of lines open here today. Good chance for you to get in and get on Super Talk 99.7. Don't be a lurker. You can't just always be a lurker. You have to participate. Are you a taker or are you a giver? Can you be a little of both? That's what I want to know. 615-737-9986. Steve in Franklin. Hey, Steve, you're up with Brian on the drive. What's on your mind today, Steve?
Hey, Brian. I love the great one after you. Love your show as well. Question for you. Is there really a Mr. Producer, like he always says? I love to hear other guys talk.
Well, he always, Mr. Producer. Mr. Producer, cut number 6. Yeah, there is a person, and Mark does his show like I do. He does it from his home, and that's where the bunker is. It's in the basement of his home. He told me that he often does this in a little room in his basement with his dog at his feet. And I've tried to follow that. I thought, well, if it's good enough for Mark Levin, it's good for me. I'll do that. But no, there's a Mr. Producer, and I think the reason that he makes a generic thing like that is producers change over time. They come and they go. And so he probably didn't want to use a name. So it's the generic Mr. Producer. All right, Richie in Clarksville. Hey, you're on with Brian on the drive. Hey, Richie, what's on your mind?
Hey, Brian. My thing was that the Democrats always seem to be a step ahead, and I think that we made a mistake, sort of. I think J.D. Vance was a good pick, but I would have thought something in case surprise like they got with Kamala, that possibly they could have picked like Tim Scott and maybe a female like the representative, the senator from New York, Elise Stefanik.
Yeah, she's a representative, yeah, right.
To pick up female votes or the black votes with Tim Scott. He was a great pick too. So J.D. Vance to me was a good pick, but I just think it wasn't the greatest pick. What do you think?
I like J.D. Vance, and I think, look, one thing I'll say is right now in the Trump campaign, J.D. Vance is crushing it. He's out there every day hitting exactly the talking points that need to be hit. I think he is a great communicator, and you can't underestimate the importance of having a great communicator. The thing about it was, I think, is we had it's like all kinds of people on the bench who could have been totally awesome at this. There were ups and downs. You mentioned Elise Stefanik, and she doesn't get a lot of attention. She's very good. And one of the things that I am seeing in the numbers, it's very clear, and I'll talk about it later in the show, is that where the strength of Kamala Harris in recent days has come from has all been, almost like 95% of it has come from women voters. So it might have been a good choice. I don't know. But I like J.D. Vance. I'm pretty happy with it. Again, people don't often pick a presidential candidate based on the vice presidential pick. They are more focused on who's at the top of the ticket. But nonetheless, I think JD's doing a good job. He's crushing it out there. I wish that we were all as good in our messaging as JD Vance is. Let's see. Let's go to Andrew in Mount Juliet. Hello, Andrew. You're on with Brian on the drive. What's on your mind today, Andrew?
Hey, Brian. Since you guys have been going over the hits of Kamala, have you stumbled across that one video of her where she's talking about the change of to the green energy, and then she has a one line in there that I don't know if you've heard it, but she says, with the reduction in population. If you heard that video?
No, I haven't heard that. I'll have to go back. I mean, she's got, listen, our Wayback Machine.
There's a video out there where she's talking about training, new jobs, and with opportunities coming with the changing of power sources and reductions in population. So,
great.
So she sounds like she's on the WEF bandwagon.
Yeah.
Definitely.
No doubt about that. I will tell you that the hits just keep on coming. Our Wayback Machine hasn't begun to even come close to tapping into the crazy things that she has said. I've got a clip here that I'll play a little later of Kamala trying to explain democracy, and it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Gage, Estelle Springs. Gage, you're on with Brian on the drive. What do you say, Gage?
Hey, Brian, I was just wondering if Biden won by 7 million votes the last election, and they've nationalized 3.3 million immigrants in the last 3.5 years. Do we even have a chance to win this election?
I think we do. And I look at, again, I think it is tightened. And I'm not, as you know, if you've been listening to the program, not completely thrilled with the messaging that's coming out of the Trump campaign right now. I wish it were a lot more focused. But given the fact that I don't get to see the advertising that they're putting on in Michigan and Wisconsin and Minnesota and Virginia and some of these other battleground states, Georgia now become a battleground state yet again. It's hard for me to know exactly about the messaging, but I do think we do, and I think it's going to really depend on whether or not the Trump campaign can explain to people in a way that actually seeps in and registers with folks about how radical her ideas are. I mean, the one that she came up with today, they came up with a great moniker for her. They're calling her Comrade Kamala because she wants to impose Soviet-style price controls on our grocery stores. And that worked so well in the Soviet Union, so why not bring it here? It's a crazy idea. It's completely socialistic. It's actually communistic in its origins, and yet that's her idea. We need to make sure people get that about her, and if we get that across, then I think we have a really, really good chance. It's all about the messaging. It's all about whether the campaign is hitting the right points and the advertising is dialed in like it should be. I'm hoping. I'm not giving up. I'm a little concerned about how much it's tightened. I'm a little concerned about the messaging, but I'm not giving up. I am an optimistic individual, and we got to fight all the way to the bitter end. All right. Thank you for that, though. Appreciate it. Let's see. Let's go to Jason in Hendersonville. Hello, Jason. You're on with Brian on the drive.
Hey, Brian, long-time listener, first-time caller. Love your show.
Thank you.
I wanted to talk, I'm switching subjects a little bit about Metro and the Metro Police Department in general. I was involved in a wreck Tuesday. I got sideswiped. Basically, a truck carrying a U-Haul trailer came over in front of me. I hold down my horn while he keeps coming over, and he hits me. Well, I'm expecting him to pull off, but he doesn't. He takes off and gets to the fast lane and starts going. Well, I start following him, and finally I get in front of him, and I call 911. I tell the operator, I've just been sideswiped. The guy's running, and right now I'm in front of him, following him, quote unquote, but he's not stopping. And the response I got from her was, well, you'll need to pull over so we can send an officer to meet with you. I'm like, but I'm right in front of him. Can you just send an officer to pull us both over? Well, no, until you pull over, I cannot dispatch anybody.
Oh, my.
So I told him basically, well, have a nice day. I'll take care of myself. I've yet to receive a call back from anybody at 911. And I went to file the online police report so I could file with my insurance. I did not get the dude's ID. I got his insurance card and pictures of the license plate, but I did not get a picture of his ID. And without the ID, they will not take my report unless I'm still on site.
Wow. Well, it's catch-22. Look, let's be honest about it. Metro Nashville Police doesn't have enough officers to go around. Metro Nashville Police, by and large, does not respond to traffic accidents unless there's a serious injury or a fatality. I've had stories told to me of response times with Metro Nashville Police for things that are, well, we had a story a while back about somebody was shoplifting. They locked them inside the building and called the police. And the response time was ridiculous. I mean, here you got people who are stealing from a business. They're locked inside the business. The people who run the business are on the outside. They even got some people that went to their cars and brought back their guns to make sure they didn't leave. And the police, it took them, I want to say an hour or something to respond. So we're shorthanded, and they're just, I don't think we're ever going to get back to the day where they will actively work accidents unless somebody is injured. And I think that's just the way it's going to be. And it's not good policing. And again, everything that I read about the Metro Nashville Police Department, I think there's some good people there on the front lines, but they are short-handed, and they have been, and they've not been real truthful about that, as far as I can tell. Thank you for the call, though. I appreciate it. Man, I'm sorry I can't help you more. Let's get another thing here. Ed in Springfield. Hello, Ed. You're on with Brian.
Hi, how you doing, Brian? Yeah, I was calling because ever since the coronation of Kamala, I've wondered if that wasn't by design. The whole scam of him running until the last minute and in when there's really not adequate time to vet her.
I have thought the same thing, and I've wondered. Look, we can find conspiracies any place we choose to look at them. If we're looking for a conspiracy, you almost often find one. But the thing that sort of goes against that being conspiratorial is I really believe Joe Biden did not want to give up. Now, to go down your line of thinking, he had to have been in on it, right? I think now there are some things that are lining up for them. I mean, they have this happen. She's the flavor of the month. Her numbers go up. The Democrats get a sugar high, and then they go right into their convention, and she'll get a little bump out of that. And then we're into it all the way into the election. So things have sort of worked out favorably for her, and it's interesting. It's a fair question to ask, was this the plan all along? But to me, my instinct says no, because Joe Biden really did not want to leave, if the best I can tell. So there's that. Anyway, great round. Listen, the 5 o'clock people have got their hands full trying to beat that. That was pretty awesome. Yeah. That was pretty solid right there. 51 past the hour.
The Guaranteed Offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, No lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Won't you take me back to Tennessee?
I'm going to give it away. We're going to do TikTok today.
Oh, TikTok or talk? Okay.
TALK.
Spring is here. Today we're going to talk about ticks. Bugs are coming out. Unfortunately, ticks are coming out. People are going to be out in the woods. First, the types of ticks.
American dog tick, the black-legged deer tick, the Lone Star tick. We've got a Gulf Coast tick. Got a new one coming in, the Longhorn tick. These are the ones we need to watch out for. 75% of vector transmitted diseases now are from ticks. Rocky Mountain spotted fever, rickelosis, tularemia, Lyme disease, almost flu-like. You're going to run a fever. You may or may not get a rash in the saliva. They secrete the cement to glue themselves in.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's great.
So you need to get some tweezers, get down on that capitulum and grab it and pull the tick off. Do not grab the body. A lot of people think ticks drop out of trees. They don't drop out of trees. And they can't jump. And they can't fly.
So they're in the leaves, on the plants and things.
On the grass,
on the
leaves of the grass. And they do this number with their front legs. And that's called questing. They are sensing a prey item coming by. They'll take those legs and latch on and then crawl up.
And then there you go. You're battling it.
Good afternoon. It's 5 p.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. Mostly sunny, 93 degrees. A forecast and a traffic report are on the way. Vice President Kamala Harris today promoting a set of economic proposals at a campaign stop in Raleigh, North Carolina. ABC's Elizabeth Schulze, she weighs in on the cost of the VP's economic program proposal.
Very little mention in that speech just now about how to pay for this. Yes, we know that the vice president has talked about raising taxes on the wealthiest Americans and corporations. That's a continuation of the policy we've seen under the Biden administration when you think about some of that deficit reduction. But when you look at the numbers, not a lot of deficit reduction going on there.
And as you can imagine, Donald Trump's campaign quick to respond to Kamala Harris's economic proposals. ABC's Stephen Portnoy has that story.
The Trump campaign calls Harris's ideas preposterous. Trump economic advisor Stephen Moore says most grocers already operate on tight profit margins.
If you put price controls on these stores, many of them will go out of business.
Fellow advisor Kevin Hassett on Harris's proposal to give up to $25,000 to first-time home buyers.
Everybody bids up the price by $25,000, and you get more inflation.
Donald Trump's running mate, J.D. Vance, he was campaigning in Milwaukee, Wisconsin today. When Vance was asked by a local reporter about those saying Trump needs to focus on policy as opposed to personal attacks, this was his response.
The reason that President Trump has been so successful connecting with Americans is even when they disagree with something that he might say, they know that he just is who he is, right? I'd much rather have a political candidate who I disagreed with 25% of the time, but was a real human being and was willing to speak off the cuff, than to have somebody like Kamala Harris who hides behind a teleprompter and doesn't speak to the American people directly.
The plane carrying Vance had to make an emergency landing shortly after takeoff and head back to Milwaukee. In a statement, the Milwaukee airport says the Boeing 737 charter plane returned around 1:30 this afternoon due to a possible issue with the aircraft. Here is the alert from the pilot to air traffic controllers, this via live ATC.
L1 is leaking and it's extremely loud in the back, but we have no indication that the door itself is open in door L1.
Officials say the plane landed normally and without incident under its own power, and everybody aboard is just fine. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. 6 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I am Brian Wilson. I am indeed your friend and radio buddy, and I'm glad that you're with us here on this Friday. Good weekend, unless you're going to be weather aware. We were concerned about weather this afternoon, but it looks, I haven't looked lately, but last time I looked, most of the stuff that we were concerned about had moved to the east of us. I think it looks like we're in pretty good shape. It's well over, the line of thunderstorms that we thought might be bothering us this afternoon seem to be over, headed toward Knoxville about right now. So we dodged a bullet there. However, this weekend, be weather aware, keep one eye on the sky, which is really sort of hard to do when you have other things to look at, but try to. And keep an eye, because we could be facing some severe weather this weekend. I mean, my eyes only, when you have one going one direction, the other one follows it.
That's generally how eyeballs work, yeah. If they're working properly, I think, yeah.
That's right.
Unless you're, an iguana or something.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. Well, let's talk a little bit about what is going on. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been talking about the messaging of the Republicans, but they have finally found the right, the right nickname for Kamala Harris. Now, I'm not big into a lot of name calling, but I must tell you that this really does fit quite a bit. They're calling her now Comrade Kamala, or actually Comrade Kamala. The buttons. That's right. Comrade Kamala. Because remember, she says, without any shame.
And yeah, I am a radical.
She's a radical.
And yeah, I am a radical.
But she's come up with a good one here. I mean, it comes right from the Soviet playbook, ladies and gentlemen. And it works so well there, she wants to try it here in America, too. I'm talking about Soviet-style price controls. And to that I say, niet. No, we're not going to have it. But she's going to try. Here she is today. Now, it's funny. She said, it's a big announcement about her economic ideas for the future and how she wants to turn the economy around. And one of the first things they say is, well, we haven't worked out all the details, and you'll see we'll have a lot of the greater details here very soon. You'll be able to look at it in greater detail. But in the meantime, let me give you the broad ideas. And one of them is what I would have to call Soviet-style price controls for the foods and goods that you consume. That's right. I mean, she wants to put a price cap and say, well, we're going to determine, we, the government, will determine what things should cost you. And if we determine in our infinite wisdom that people are out there charging you too much, we will determine what their profit margin shall be. We will determine exactly what is the right price for a loaf of bread or a gallon of milk or a dozen eggs or a gallon of gasoline or, maybe we'll even get into that with regards to how much you're paying in rent. If we think the rent's too high, we may step in. Where does it end? Where does it end? It is the antithesis of the free enterprise system. Because, the way it works in America is we go out there and we develop a good or we bring a product to market and we charge you what we think it's worth, which, recoups our costs, gives us a little bit of profit. And a little bit we can pay our people and then maybe make a little profit so that maybe one day we can reinvest in our company and do some other things that are good for the people. That's the free enterprise system. And quite frankly, the whole idea that people are out there gouging you is sort of a stupid idea anyway. Let me just tell you how this works. So you make blivets right there, and blivets are very, in very big demand. And so you make a blivet out there and you decide, you know what? I'm going to stick it to my customers. I'm going to charge them more than I really should, more than I need, because I'm going to be a greedy profiteer, right? So if you do that, what happens? Well, somebody else comes along and makes a blivet and sells it for less, and you lose your market share. You're not selling any blivets because people can get this blivet over here that's just the same thing at a better price. They're not going to come to you for Blivets anymore, and you're going to go out of business. You have to price your product competitively in a free enterprise system, in an open market system. And so the idea that people are charging outrageous prices for certain things, this is always, they can't justify inflation. It can't be our fault. It has to be somebody out there being greedy. No, that's a fallacy. It's not true. It doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen in the free enterprise system. If you know anything at all about the free enterprise system, supply and demand will take care of things. It's the brilliance of the American economic system. And yet they want to change it, and they want to have government bureaucrats decide how much you're going to pay for things. And so let me just tell you how that works. So let's say you bring eggs to market. Okay, I have a little chicken farm, and I bring eggs to market, and I have to package them. I have to get them delivered. I give them to you, and so we price it in a way where we can we're not losing money. We can't afford to lose money, and we'll sell this at X amount of dollar. And so a dozen eggs cost you. I don't know what a dozen eggs cost anymore because I don't go to the grocery store, but a dozen eggs. We're going to price it competitively. And so you come and get your, and if the government says, well, we think you're charging too much, well, so they're going to make you lower the price on your eggs. Well, maybe you were, but I doubt that you were, because somebody else can sell those eggs cheaper. So you're not going to really do that. So you're selling them at a competitive price, but the government thinks that you're gouging the public, and they decide, no, you have to sell your eggs for less. Well, now you can't meet your expenses. So what do? You stop making eggs. What do you have? Shortages. All right, so that's one thing that happens with price controls. The other is, okay, I'll tell you what, I won't sell my eggs in a way that you know anything about it. I'll sell them out of the back of my pickup truck, and I'll charge a good price for them, and I'll say I'll make the money, and we'll have a black market on eggs. Right? That's what happens. That's what happens. So you don't want shortages, you don't want a black market, and you don't want to circumvent the free enterprise system, which works well when you just simply get out of the way. Supply and demand will solve the problem. If there's a demand for it, there will be a supply. If the supply becomes short, then maybe the prices go up because there's a lot of demand and there's not much product. But if there's a lot of product, then the price goes down. This is just the way it is. You don't want to get in the middle of that. I mean, it's been tried in so many other places, but this is what she's going to do.
And I will work to pass the first ever federal ban on price gauging on food. She
said gauging, but I'm sure she meant gouging, because that's gauging doesn't make any sense. She misread the teleprompter there. It's price gouging, Kamala. And people who understand the free enterprise system know this has been tried elsewhere, and it never works.
Well, first of all, nobody can explain what price gouging means. It's like that old line about pornography. I know it when I see it. This is
Catherine Rampel, an economic commentator of all places on CNN, talking common sense.
In the sense that, what does it mean to have an excessive price or an excessive profit margin? That seems to be shorthand for a price or a profit margin that bugs me. That seems too high. So, it's very hard to pin down what this would actually mean. If you look at the legislation that, as I mentioned, is already in the Senate, led by Senate Warren and Senator Bob Casey and a slew of others, the particular way that this is written, which is likely to be the template for any proposal that Harris would eventually embrace, is especially bad in that it just bans excessive prices, grossly excessive prices, grossly excessive profit margins, and says that the Federal Trade Commission can use any metric it deems appropriate to decide what that would mean. Which basically says, like, it's not going to be markets, it's not going to be supply and demand that's determining how much your grocery store charges you for milk or for eggs. It's going to be some bureaucrat in D.C., which seems like totally unworkable, first of all, for the FTC to be deciding, like, how much Kroger charges for eggs in Michigan. But it also would be very bad for markets. We've seen this kind of thing tried in lots of other countries before: Venezuela, Argentina, the Soviet Union, etc. It leads to shortages. It leads to black markets, plenty of uncertainty. And beyond that, the specific way this bill is written might actually increase prices because of some of the other language in it. Things like requiring public companies to disclose in their quarterly reports, their quarterly earnings reports, how they're setting prices, which is a great way to help them collude, which normally we don't want them to do. So anyway, the devil's in the details, I guess, for that bill, but it's really hard for me to imagine any form of legislation that preserves the spirit of what she's proposing that would not be, at best do nothing, at worst cause a lot of harm.
I think she's right. I think she's got it exactly right. I mean, can you imagine? Well, let me just ask you this question. Can you think of anything that's ever happened that got better when the government got in the middle of it? Free enterprise system will work. Of course, the problem is inflation. And even Kamala admits, it's getting expensive out there.
So every day across our nation, families talk about their plans for the future. Mm-hmm. Their ambitions, their aspirations for themselves, for their children. And they talk about how they're going to be able to actually achieve them financially. Because look, the bills add up. Food, rent, gas, back to school clothes, prescription medication.
You hear the people in the background going, yeah. They're just lapping this up.
After all that, for many families, there's not much left at the end of the month.
Well, why is there inflation? Because of the policies of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And you know what? She's just as responsible as he is. In fact, maybe even more so, because she broke the tie that allowed the Inflation Reduction Act. Boy, the most misapt named piece of legislation to ever come down the pike, because it didn't do a thing to help inflation. It only made inflation worse. It went from 1.4% to 9.1%, and that's why things are expensive. You haven't kept up with the cost of living because the prices have gone up due to inflation, which they caused. But it can't be their fault, right? So no, it must be the greedy people who run these companies. It's got to be the people who make products who and the people who bring groceries to your grocery store, and the people who bring the gallon of gas to your gas station. It's got to be their fault, because it can't be our fault. It is their fault. And this idea is a horrible idea that's been tried, as you heard her say, in places like Venezuela and other places like the Soviet Union. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, the moniker Comrade Kamala is more apt than perhaps it's ever been. She's got to fix it all by getting the government involved in the pricing of the goods, the food, the things that you drink and eat, the things that you buy for your home. Kamala knows better than the free enterprise system. Niet. Also must kill moose and squirrel. 20 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Folks at USS, United Structural Systems, you know what they do. They can help you if you have foundation issues at your home. And by the way, the weather has been just perfect for foundation issues to emerge. That when it got really hot and dry for that long period of time, and then it gets wet, then it gets dry, that's the back and forth that can really cause a lot of problems. And if you have a foundation problem, you need to call them. And then look, right now is a good time to do it, because 10% off any job over $2,500. You can also get same as cash options available, no payments, no interest for 1 year with approved credit. And so, here's the thing I want you to know. If you call them, they will come out and give you their best advice. And it doesn't cost you a penny. Free inspections. You don't pay a penny until the job is complete and you are completely satisfied. So with foundation or a wet basement or mold treatment problems that you may have, or concrete that needs leveling, they can put it back nice, level, and plumb, just like it should be. All you got to do is call them, 615-488-7855. Serving Middle Tennessee, Southern and Western Kentucky, USS guarantees their best here. You can find out more about them by going to their website, ussTN.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
New rules going into effect for residential real estate transactions. We'll have that story for you. And today is the anniversary of Elvis's death, and today an arrest in a Graceland fraud scheme. Also, a dirt track racing legend dies in a Tennessee plane crash this morning. We'll have those stories at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's 25 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock on a sort of a warmish day, 91 degrees outside right now. Be weather aware this weekend as you go about. It's going to be a good week to get things done, but I mean, it's going to get hot and maybe have some thunderstorms. The thunderstorms I think we were going to have today, sort of, I think they developed to our east, and they're sort of out of our way right for the moment. But again, be weather aware because conditions are right for some pretty nasty weather. Want to also remind you that coming up after the news, in a few minutes, I'm going to talk to you about some stuff, but in a few minutes, we'll do the news. And after the news, round 2 of Phone URFARB Friday, where, you know, and listen, I'm telling you, the 4 o'clock people were strong. I mean, they were strong. Strong as my grandfather's coffee, which was, I mean, that stuff would put hair on your chest.
Like mud, was it?
I'm telling you, I couldn't drink it. Anyway, what you need to do is get ready with your thoughts, your observations. We want you to be clear, concise, to the point. a bit comical if you have that talent. I just want to warn you, if you don't have that talent, or if you think maybe I have that talent, you don't.
Yeah, if there's a question, no, it's a no.
No, you don't have it.
It's a no.
And, many people say, well, Wilson, I've heard your show. What passes for humor? Yeah, I know. Well, anyway, we really do enjoy having people. And, and I said that I really love it when we hear first-time callers. But you can't just be a first-time caller without having your thoughts put together. So, again, that'll be right after the news. Don't miss it. Phone Your FARB Friday, round 2, in just a few moments. I've been wanting to see this movie by Dennis Quaid, which explores the life and times of Ronald Reagan. Now, I was fortunate enough to be in Washington, D.C. for the last part, for about the second half of his second term. And so I got to watch the things that happened with Reagan. I got to meet him on 2 occasions, and I'll never forget it. As long as I live, I'll never forget getting to meet Ronald Reagan and Nancy briefly, grip and grin, but still, I got the picture to prove that I actually met Reagan. But this movie by Dennis Quaid, where he plays Reagan, is apparently running into some problems because apparently Facebook is throttling anything having to do with the movie. Reagan star Dennis Quaid responded on Tuesday to Facebook's explanation for why it was throttling efforts to boost marketing of his new biopic about the 40th president, suggesting it didn't hold water. At first, Facebook reportedly wouldn't allow the movie's marketing team to boost a post with Quaid's picture promoting the movie through a paid advertisement. Also, Facebook suspended the movie's official account on at least 2 occasions over clips it posted of Quaid discussing the movie in media appearances. The markers said they were told by Facebook that the post mentions politicians or is about sensitive issues that could influence public opinions about how people vote or may impact the outcome of an election or pending legislation. It's a historical biopic. It's about a man who a lot of people found interesting. I mean, I'm sure if there was a movie about Bubba, that they'd be just fine with it. It seems to be automated that way for some reason. No one's responsible, Quaid said. This happened several times, actually, and we were suspended for 2 days in a row. The last time I heard, Reagan hasn't been on the ballot in 40 years, and not only that, he's not even eligible to run because he served 2 terms. Well, he's also dead. So that would be another reason. Facebook spokesperson told Fox News Digital, while there are no restrictions on this page that would prevent the admins from posting, we did identify a handful of ads from this account that were incorrectly rejected. Oh, well, yeah, but it's too late. And if the actor Dennis Quaid wasn't out there making noise about this, then nothing would have ever been done. I'm going to see it. I'll do whatever I can to see it because I'm really interested to see how Dennis Quaid interprets the great communicator. Boy, those were days when we had communicators. It is now 30 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7.
Good afternoon. It is 5:30 on the button here, and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. Mostly sunny, 93 degrees as we get our Friday night started here. A forecast and a traffic report are on the way. A new rule going into effect tomorrow, yes, Saturday, for real estate brokers. It affects both buyers and sellers. Among other things, the move could make home buying just a little bit more affordable. Here's ABC's Elizabeth Schulze.
90% of Americans use real estate brokers to buy a home and help navigate a very complicated housing market. How those brokers get paid is about to change as part of a landmark legal settlement that was reached in March, and that means big changes for home buyers and sellers, too.
Buyers will need to sign a written contract with their realtor, spelling out their compensation before they even start looking at homes. Sellers, who typically pay 5 to 6% commission, which their realtor and the buyer's broker split, well, they could find it easier to negotiate who pays those fees. Well, it was 47 years ago to the day. Do you remember where you were when you heard about Elvis Presley passing away? Yes, it was today in 1977, where he died on his Memphis estate. A woman's been charged with trying to fraudulently obtain the Graceland mansion and millions of dollars from the music icon's descendants. We hear now from ABC's Brian Clark.
Federal prosecutors say Lisa Finley plotted to defraud Elvis Presley's family out of millions of dollars and ownership of the iconic Graceland mansion by claiming that Lisa Marie Presley, Elvis's daughter, pledged Graceland as collateral for a $3.8 million loan she signed before she died. However, federal prosecutors say Lisa Marie Presley never signed a loan, and Finley's entire scheme, including the documents she produced, was fraudulent.
And finally, award-winning dirt track race driver Scott Bloomquist. He passed away after a plane crash in Hawkins County, Tennessee this morning. According to the FAA, a single-engine Piper J3 crashed into a barn near Mooresburg, Tennessee at about 8 o'clock this morning. The Hawkins County Sheriff's Office confirming to media outlets that Mr. Bloomquist was the only person aboard that aircraft. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
All right, Phone Your Farb Friday, just a few moments away. Get on the line now, 615-737-9986. Grace Point Healthcare is affordable, comprehensive, and convenient. And that's what you want, right? Medicine delivered the old-fashioned way. A lot of things going on right now. Kids are going back to school. Do they need a sports physical or any other kind of physical? Medical checkup. Grace Point provides complete physical for kids of all ages. See, if you're scheduling an international vacation, you may need special immunizations. Grace Point offers complete travel immunizations and is CDC certified for yellow fever and all international immunization protocols. And this is really the important part. Because they will see you the same or the next day, you won't have to wait days or weeks to see a doctor. That is modern medicine delivered at your convenience. They're located on Main Street in Franklin. Here's the number, 615-599-6868 to schedule an appointment.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
38 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Yay! It's my favorite time of the week. Round 2 of Phone Your Farb Friday. Yeah, what's on your mind? 615-737-9986. Get on the line right now and get it off your chest. Maybe you got a bee in your bonnet. Maybe you got a burr in your saddle. Maybe you got a bug in a place where I hope you never, ever have a bug. Just climb up to our 100,000-watt soapbox and express yourself within boundaries. It's a family show. All right, people are lined up and ready to go. We got a good group here. And remember, the 4 o'clock hour was pretty good. So bring your best stuff, okay? I'm going to start with Max in Springfield. Line 5, if I could. Max, you're on with Brian on the drive. Max, what's on your mind today?
Hi, Brian, thanks for taking my call. I just got to thinking, if she's going to do price controls, price gouging, I wonder how her comrades in Hollywood are going to respond to that. Let's say minimum wage in Hollywood in California is $25 an hour. And she says, okay, we'll pay you 10 times that much to make a movie. You can make $250 an hour and no more. How are they going to support that? Because if you're going to apply those kinds of rules and regulations to grocery stores, why wouldn't you do it to everyone? I mean, you have the equal protection clause.
Well, sure.
I
understand the point. I understand the point. And here's the thing: the problem is inflation, and they can't be responsible for that. So it has to be somebody else. There has to be a boogeyman out there, and the boogeyman are people who produce goods and services. They're gouging you. They're greedy. And they're going to be their whole mantra. Well, we're trying to keep people from being greedy and taking advantage of it. And there's a certain number of people out there who just lap that up because they don't have a sophisticated understanding of the free enterprise system and how it works and how bad this will be. Look, Comrade Kamala is the most apt nickname that I think you could come up with, because it really does describe in one little phrase. She is bringing to the table in America Soviet-style price controls. And, because it works so well there. It's ridiculous. Rishi in Nashville. Hello, Rishi. You're on with Brian on the drive. What's on your mind today, Rishi?
Hey, Brian, enjoy your show. A few points, at least. To the point, I think the main reason we have inflation is for last 8 years, they've been spending $3 to $4 trillion more what they're collecting in taxes.
Right.
So the central bank has to print the excess money. I mean, our resources and services are the same. I mean, if you put too much money on the board, actually, with $35 trillion debt right now, actually, that's why everything is expensive. So the solution is balanced budget. I mean, there's no other solution except the balanced budget. So
yeah, and that's going to be a tough one. Because, that means pain and suffering, and nobody likes to go through that. Real quick, another point.
Yeah, second is, some of the greed is corporate greed, Brian. I'll tell you some of the private corporation. I'll give you 2 examples, public corporation, not the private, actually. Elon Musk is taking $45 billion pay package out of Tesla. And the judge in Delaware, they said no, actually, so he moved that case to Texas, and got it approved, actually.
Yeah, but here's the thing about that. If you don't want to pay the price of a Tesla, you can go buy another car. There's nobody's forcing them to buy a car from Tesla.
But, as the S&P investor in that top 500 company, with most of the mutual funds have, basically you are investing in that and you're taking a loss. What is gained for Elon Musk.
Well, but you decided to make that investment, and not everybody will choose to make that investment. You make the investments that you choose to make. Look, I mean, I have a hard time thinking that anybody needs that much money, but quite frankly, that's not for me to say. If he feels like he's worth it to those companies, and the boards go along with it, then that's fine. But remember, you don't have to buy a Tesla. You don't have to buy a SpaceX rocket. You can go elsewhere. But if you like what he puts on the table, then he's entitled to earn a good return on that. I don't have a problem with people being successful. I really don't. And what I will tell you is, if somebody is really gouging you out there, then they will be undercut by somebody who will do the same thing cheaper. That's the American way. That's what I love about America. Adam in Nashville, you're up with Brian on the drive. What do you say, Adam?
Well, hey, Brian, I love that nickname. And so I just wanted to.
You mean Comrade Kamala? Yeah, it works, doesn't it?
It does, man. It's great. But I wanted to add to it. So Comrade Kamala is going to Californicate our country.
Well, it works, and it has the beauty of alliteration, which I think is always the way to go. All right, thank you for that, Adam. I appreciate it. Jerry in Murfreesboro. Hello, you're up with Brian on the drive. Hello, Jerry.
Yeah, Brian, I have 2 points. The first one, you had quoted Goldberg earlier in the week, I think on Wednesday. And, he wrote the book on bias. And the funny thing is you still see it in the media today.
Yep.
It's always, it's these ultra-conservatives from Florida. Oh, this ultra-conservative from, Utah, whatever. But it's never an ultra. Did you ever notice that there's never an ultra-liberal? It's just amazing to me. And yet this one here that she's running, she's probably farther to the left than probably anybody that we've had since Obama, for sure. But that's my one point. But I'm still amazed that we still see that. Regardless of him writing the book and exposing them, we still see it today.
It's amazing because one of the things I saw, if I could, because I'm going to get a lot of people in here, but one of the things that I saw recently was, people talking about how so many people on the left are completely unaware of positions that Kamala Harris has held. Controversial, very left-leaning positions. Completely unaware that she held those positions because she gets a lot of protection from the mainstream media. It's also, I think, a commentary on the fact that there are a great number of people in America who do not focus on elections and do not pay attention to what's going on in the world around them. So there you have that. Let's see. I want to go to, let's go to Aubrey in Murfreesboro. Hello, Aubrey. You're on with Brian on the drive.
Hey, Brian, just want to give a quick tip to the guy who called that got sideswiped with the U-Haul trailer.
Yeah, just to let people know something. Hang on, I got to bring people along. In the last hour, somebody called and talked about how they gotten sideswiped and couldn't get any help from the Metro Nashville Police Department. Go ahead.
Okay, so all he has to do, he's got the tag number and he's got some information. He finds out where that trailer was rented. They'll have a copy of the person's identification, whether it be a driver's license or just an ID card, and he can present that information. If they don't want to give it to him, all he has to do is go through civil court, and they can put a request in for it.
All right.
It's just a matter of doing some legwork. It depends on how much damage he got.
Okay. I think, it sounded like his entire car got messed up. Aubrey, thank you for the good advice. Appreciate that. How about Jonathan in Murfreesboro? Jonathan, you're on with Brian on the drive. What's up?
Hey, Brian. So I want to talk about the Kamala's. I think it's like what she wants to give people $25,000 for free for first-time homebuyers. To me, that feels like a slap in the face. I was listening to the Dan Mandis this morning. I sent a message in about what I do. I work 2 jobs. I work 70 hours a week. I'm about to start my 3rd year of apprenticeship school. I've been doing this for 2 years straight. I bust my butt, and to me, that seems like a slap in the face for those of us that are out here busting our tail to, achieve that goal. And
you work hard, and you work hard, and you sound like a person of merit. That's the,
I give
that
credit to my mother. I give credit to my mother. My mother was the second youngest of not to go into my family history, but my mother was the second youngest of 7 kids growing up dirt poor on a farm in Montana. I know my mom knows what struggle is, so she instilled in both me and my brother to, you want to achieve something, you go out and bust your butt and work for it. Don't expect anybody to give you.
No, you have it all wrong. In the Kamala Harris world, in Comrade Kamala's world, you should have an equal outcome no matter how hard you worked.
Yeah, we'll see how far that goes.
Thank you for the call. Appreciate it so much. Everybody wants to talk about Kamala. Let's get Dave in here. Dave, hello. You're on with Brian on the Drive.
Hey, Brian. I called before. Anyway, the first time I voted was in 1980, and that was for Ronald Reagan. So I've been listening to these people for, about 60 years, and they lie. These politicians, they lie. But the thing that bothers me the most is that these people believe them when they tell them they're going to give us all this free stuff.
Well, everybody wants free stuff,
Nothing's free. You can't give somebody something that they don't take from somebody. The government has no money unless it's for, they wouldn't have anything if it wasn't for us. So I don't get it. I don't get these people. I really don't.
All right, Dave. Thank you for the call, man. I appreciate it. Rick and Laverne, you're up with Brian on the Drive. What do you say, Rick?
Brian, it was several months ago. You had opened the topic, and the topic came up of drinking coffee in a worship service.
Yeah.
And there were several discussions about it. And this one person called in, I think it was a pastor, who gave a biblical verse against doing it, but it came from Hebrews. And I thought for sure you would pick up on Hebrews and figured
I wasn't that fast. Well, I don't know. I understand it's a controversial thing. I'm becoming a Round Lickian. I go to the Round Lick Baptist Church here in Watertown, and so the Round Lickians, I have noticed. I don't notice a lot of people drinking coffee in church, but the one time I went to church, and everybody said, "Yeah, take your coffee on in there," and they gave you like a snack. You could get a snack out there in the coffee bar, and I thought this is the greatest thing to ever happen to church. To be able to not only, be in there, communing with the Lord and having a great religious experience and a great sermon, hearing a great sermon, but also drinking coffee. I mean, that's two great things. I like it personally, but I understand it's a controversial thing in some quarters. All right, that's it for today. Listen, thank you so much. I don't know, Chris. I think two solid rounds.
Man. Yeah, they were both very solid.
Yeah. I'm going to say slight edge to the 4.
I was thinking the same thing. We're in agreement.
But it's off. I mean, it's
close, though.
It's close.
Yeah.
It was close. Like, it would be if it was an Olympic swimming match, it would be like they both hit the wall within 1/10 of a second.
Yeah, very close.
It's a slight edge. All right, we'll call it 50 minutes now, past the hour of 5 o'clock. Really close. Hey, did you know that gold is up 78% over the last 5 years and silver is up 99% in the same time period? Meanwhile, the U.S. dollar has lost 25% of its value since 2020. Government-induced inflation is stealing your wealth, and it doesn't seem that Washington has any plans to stop it. Gold and other precious metals are a great shield against that inflation theft. It's an election year, and you'll hear a lot of promises from the politicians, but can they really help themselves? No, they can't stop it, and you know it. So that's why no matter who is in office, gold protects you from the D.C. spending spree. Where do you go to get that protection? Reach out to my friends Kyle and Hannah at Nashville Gold and Coin. They will take great care of you, keep you well informed about precious metal opportunities. Act now, get your shield against out-of-control government spending. Go to NashvilleGoldandCoin.com. That's NashvilleGoldandCoin.com and set up your appointment today.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Good evening. It's mostly sunny and 91 degrees. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We've got your weekend weather forecast and a traffic report coming up. President Biden says he has new hope that a ceasefire deal in Gaza may in fact be reached.
President Biden says we're, quote, closer than we've ever been to getting a ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas.
We're not there yet. It was much, much closer than it was 3 days ago. So keep your fingers crossed.
CIA Director Bill Burns has been in the region working to secure a deal. Negotiations are expected to continue next week.
That is Molly Nagel reporting. We now head to the West Coast, where California's Governor Gavin Newsom has signed a new suite of bills into law that are meant to combat shoplifting. It's a problem plaguing Los Angeles and retailers around the country. ABC's Alex Stone, he's reporting from L.A.
10 bills that were written with the help of the retail industry are meant to crack down on those who are part of organized groups stealing to turn around and sell the items online. The bills target smash and grab burglaries by enacting stricter penalties, enhanced charges, and extended prison sentences. Governor Gavin Newsom.
Organized retail theft. The issue of serial theft.
The bills also focus on theft from vehicles. Car break-ins have plagued cities like San Francisco.
Now we head to the Northeast, where New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy formally announcing a replacement for the resigning Senator Bob Menendez. ABC's Michelle Franson has more.
New Jersey's Governor Phil Murphy choosing his former chief of staff to replace outgoing Senator Bob Menendez, who was convicted on federal corruption charges last month and announced he would step down. George Samir Helmy will serve the rest of the term and become the only Arab American serving in the U.S. Senate.
Although I will only serve for a few months, I will do my very best to ensure that our work is about us and not about I.
Menendez officially resigns August 20th.
A Tennessee woman is dead after a freak accident on a Georgia roadway. The family of 20-year-old Autumn McClure says that she was killed Wednesday when a brake caliper came loose from another vehicle and went through the windshield of the car that she was riding in. Family members say the accident happened in Ringgold, Georgia, but authorities haven't released many details. McClure was in the passenger seat at the time, according to her boyfriend. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, more than 700 people are killed each year because of objects in the road that fly up and hit other vehicles. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Hey, it's 7 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Brian Wilson in the chair on this Friday, the August the 16th. We're glad that you're with us. Got a lot to cover here in the next hour. We'll go all the way till 7 o'clock, then we'll hand it over to Mark Levin, the great one, who will carry on through the evening. Yeah, I was listening to the newscast because I do pay attention to the newscast with Jay Harper. And Jay, you ask a rhetorical question a couple of newscasts back, and I wanted to see if I got this right. This is the anniversary or the commemoration of the passing of Elvis Presley, right?
That's correct. 47 years ago today, 1977.
1977. Yeah. And you asked the question, where were we then? And I actually remember vividly because I was 3 years out of high school. I was the anchor, I guess you'd call it, the news director of the number one radio station in my hometown at the time, which was a little AM rocker, an AM top 40 rocker that we called KOZA. And I remember being in the newsroom, and you probably remember this as well. Back in the day, we had these teletype machines.
Oh, yes, and boy, the bells would go off, right?
And yeah, you would chugga, 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 and it made a horrible racket. And then you would notice you learned after a while that when the chugga, chugga, chugga stopped, that you should pay attention, because then you would hear a series of bells.
Correct.
And if it was like 2 bells, it was an urgent. If it was 3 bells, I think it was a bulletin. And then you went over to see what was coming across because you knew it was important. If you got 5 bells, it was a flash. And flashes back in the old days, I don't know how it is now, but flashes could be described in 2 words. And I'd never heard 5 bells before, ever. And I heard the 5 bells, and I went over to the chugga chugga machine, and there it printed out, Elvis dead. And I remember it. I had that. I saved it somewhere. I've lost track of where. I actually put it in a scrapbook because I thought, well, this is something I'll always remember. Yeah, but I mean, it was quite the day. Do you remember where you were?
Oh, absolutely. I'm a few years behind you. I was 16 years old at the time, and I was working as a bellhop at a hotel in New Orleans where I grew up. And I can remember the staff running through the kitchen because, I had to work the kitchen, too, to bring up room service orders and whatnot. But anyway, I can remember the kitchen staff running through there going, Elvis Presley died. Did you hear Elvis Presley died? I mean, the staff of the hotel was freaked out. I mean, I remember it vividly.
It was a big deal.
Yes, it was. Oh, my gosh.
It was a big... And Chris, where were you?
It was about a year and a half too soon.
Yeah, I know. But here's a little flashback. I had actually seen Elvis in concert about more than a year and a half before, I guess it was. And amazingly, you may not know this, but a lot of Elvis Presley's concerts that he did when he was traveling around the country can now be found on the internet. I'll take you back to May 30th, 1976. This is the actual recording from the concert that I attended in the day.
Like a fool, pretty cruel, but love me, oh yeah, but love me, break my favorite heart.
Now, because I was a reporter at the time, we had a deal with the people who ran the Coliseum, who was actually a guy I went to church with. And he said, look, you're a reporter, you have a media credential. You can always come in the back door for anything we're doing here. Don't worry about, getting a ticket. Just come on in the back door. Don't worry about the people. If you got a credential, you're fine here. And so I came in and saw one show. He did 2 shows. I did one show as a reporter, and then I had a ticket for the second show because I wanted to have the whole Elvis experience.
Wow.
And so I was backstage when Elvis left the building, as they say. And they had to say that because people would stick around waiting an encore, and he didn't do encores. And so I remember being behind the Coliseum, and a big limo pulled up, and Elvis came out from the stage area, walked about 15 feet over to the limo with a girl under each arm. I'm not making it up. And
good to
got
be the
into the
king.
limo. Yeah, and went on to he entered the Golden West between shows. So I was a reporter in the early one. I saw the late show. But
Brian, was he overweight and bloated looking at that time?
I mean, if you listen to the concert now, you can see that he's like slurring words. He's not very focused. He's messing around a lot. Seems to lost some of the words. I didn't remember him being particularly obese, but looking at him now, his face was puffy and all that kind of stuff. But isn't it amazing that this stuff is out there?
Ask us, please love me.
Right there. You see him turn around with his hand up. Oh, he's...
Yeah, in that quasi-karate suit.
But anyway, that's really quite something. But interestingly enough, you also pointed out there's a story that sort of has an Elvis connection today. Missouri woman charged in alleged scheme to steal Graceland and extort the Elvis Presley family. This is bizarre. I know. And it's such a crazy story. Lisa Janine Finley, 53, arrested Friday morning, charged with mail fraud and aggravated identity theft. The Justice Department got involved in this. Missouri woman with a long history of small-time scams and fraud was arrested Friday morning. Federal charges in connection with the scheme to extort the Elvis Presley family out of millions and steal their ownership interest in the music legend's former Memphis home. She goes by Lisa Holden, as a real name apparently, a slew of other aliases, so maybe it's not her real name, was charged with mail fraud, aggravated identity theft, and a criminal complaint unsealed Friday. She'll make her initial court appearance today. Prosecutors say she allegedly orchestrated a scheme for the fraudulent sale of Graceland. NBC News was first to report in June on Finley's connections to the Graceland plot, including false identities, post office boxes, and phone and fax numbers that appeared to link her to the scammers. A person with knowledge of the situation who asked not to be named described a chaotic scene as Finley was arrested this morning at her Kimberly City home with at least 15 cops coming to execute a warrant. The attorney listed as representation for Finley in court documents did not immediately respond to a request for comments. She denied any involvement or knowledge of a scam involving Graceland. The online accounts linked to the Graceland plot associated with Finley were deleted soon after that interview. Now, the scheme became public in May. You may remember it. We talked about it then. After a company without any records or evidence that it existed at all, Nosany Investments filed a court claim that Lisa Marie Presley, Elvis's only child who died in January, owed millions of dollars in unpaid loans. After Presley's family failed to pay, Nosany Investments attempted to force a foreclosure sale of Graceland, which is a national icon. And the folks in Memphis were going, what? They were panicked because, the last thing you want is something to happen to Graceland. That's one of their major tourist attractions, right? The case made international headlines, but soon tossed by a Tennessee judge who found Nosany investment documents had likely been forged. Someone claiming to represent the scammers emailed media outlets, including NBC News, saying a ring of Nigerian identity thieves had been responsible for the scheme. So anyway, this whole thing goes on and on and on, and it's a very complex thing. But isn't it interesting? I mean, you got to wonder, how did they think they were ever going to get away with this? I mean, even if they had taken possession at some point, when did it become clear that things were not as they seemed?
They didn't think that far ahead.
Yeah, no, I don't know. But the complaint stated FBI investigators found via telephone and email records that Finley had called the Shelby County Registrar's office where the fake Graceland deed was filed and used burner emails connected to her phone number to submit notices of foreclosure. I mean, how does she expect this thing to play out? Sooner or later, you got to believe the truth was going to come out of that one. But that again, on the day that Elvis died in 1977, this arrest took place today, 47 years ago. Wow. I've been in the new business way too long. I can tell you that. Boy, but those old machines, I'm telling you, I don't remember any other flashes. But I do remember those old machines chugging along.
Yeah, I tell you, I was in radio when we got one of those flashes on the teletype on the AP machine, and it was when John Wayne died.
Yeah,
1979, and I'll never forget. And I saved that, and I still have it, and it just says, John Wayne is dead. That's all it said.
Yeah,
very weird, just really surreal.
Yeah, and now we don't have, of course, the internet and everything comes electronically to our computer screens, and but I mean, those things used to, we actually, here's a little story. We used to put microphones on it because we liked it. We liked the sound of those machines. And the CBS Evening News with Walter Cronkite, they used to do the same thing.
Yeah.
They put a microphone in, and in some news organizations where I worked, you might have 3 or 4 or 5 of them. A Weather Wire, UPI, AP, and you had Sports Wire. You had all these different wires, and
you would have it going.
The CBS Evening News with Walter Cronkite.
And during your newscast, you'd have that in the background, right?
Yeah. I had it turned down about down a little bit so you could hear, but it sounded like, and I had the scanners going in the background.
Oh man!
You hear the police calls going.
Breaking news. We're on it.
It sounded like we really had like a big blowing going newsroom. It's just me.
Yeah,
sometime later we got an afternoon person to read a few, so I could go home and get some sleep because I was working around the clock. But yeah, we used to do that. And then just one other thing I remember about it. I had a news car that they had my call letters on the side, right, and it had a big old whip antenna. And I would drive around and do things and cover the news in that. I remember that very well. And so we called it Mobile Unit Number 3.
So you had a CB radio in there, right?
No, we had a really weird FM Motorola radio. It was the most unusual frequency. I've never heard anything. I remember it 26.31.
Oh, wow.
FM signal. It was and it was a weird old, and they phased them out eventually. Nobody had them anymore. But that thing would go a long way. But we called it Mobile Unit Number 3, and it was really our only mobile unit. Because we figured if we said, this is Brian Wilson reporting from Mobile Unit Number 3, they would think, well, wow, that's a big blowing going newsroom. They got 3 live. They got 3 mobile units.
At least.
We didn't.
Yeah, there's a 1 and a 2 out there somewhere.
Yes. No, there really wasn't. All the kinds of the stuff that I pulled as a young reporter. There's a good book in it somewhere. All right, 20 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Listen, let the team at Restoration Wellness and Med Spa help you lose weight this year. It's time for you to get busy about it, and they can help you in such a big way. They're the leader in weight loss management in Wilson County. So call the Restoration Wellness team today at this number, 615-470-8124, or visit them at their website, restorationwellnessmedspa.com, to book a consultation today. Now, you're going to meet my friends Carly and Jamie, and the folks down there will take great care of you. They're so friendly, they're so helpful. They want to make you more healthy. You can be part of the more than 1,000 patients who've already seen life-changing results from the weight loss management program there. Weight loss can increase your energy levels, improve your quality of sleep, and enhance your overall health. These are customized treatment plans, not a one-size-fits-all. Restoration Wellness considers your unique needs, lifestyles, and goals. So whether your goal is to lose stubborn body fat or improve your overall health, Restoration Wellness will have a solution for you. Find out about the newest ways to lose weight. RestorationWellnessMedSpa.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
A patient of one of the doctors that's been indicted in the ketamine overdose death of Matthew Perry, he is speaking out. We'll have that story along with today's closing money news. That's coming up at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's 25 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson, your friend and radio buddy. Glad you're with us. Okay, some stories that sort of, I don't know, just a whole bunch of a mishmash of stuff, but I want to get them across because I think these stories are important. We talk about the economy and how difficult it is for people, and it is, and it's because of inflation caused by the Biden administration. Let's get it straight. That's the problem you need to solve, and you're not going to solve it by, Soviet era price controls at the marketplace. That's just stupid. I can't believe they're even suggesting such a thing. But this story sort of drives it home. Some basic products found in most bathrooms are hard for some families to afford, according to Channel 5. Things like toothpaste, soap, and shampoo are out of reach for some people, being helped by the community resource of Middle Tennessee. They say that the nonprofit and its generous donors supply people in Davidson, Cheatham, Robertson, Rutherford, Sumner, Williamson, Wilson with free hygiene kits. A lack of access to hygiene is actually impacting some people's ability to get work, go to school, and be present. In our area, 2 out of every 5 people cannot afford hygiene products. At least 80% of teens said they missed class or knew someone who missed class time because they didn't have access to period products. The hope is to put these products in everyday places where everyone visiting needs to have it. You're less likely to miss what you were there to do. Well, I think this is great. And this, by the way, yes. Are there poor people in the world? Yes, there are. And you know what? I've been bologna sandwich poor in my life, and there have been times where things had to go by the wayside. But you know, I want you to know that I get the fact that there are people out there who really honestly find themselves in a really tight place, and it's hard to work your way out of it. I know. I was there. So there we go. The thing though that I want to say is, this is the solution. This is what you want. You want private, charity groups to come through and help out in time. The answer is not always government. And so, this is what I love, is that there are places you can go where you can, if you don't have enough food for your family, there are places you can go, you can call, and they will make sure that you get food, or you can go to them and you can collect food. You can get, hygiene products. You can get soap. You can get shampoo. There are places like that. And there's nobody, the way I look at it, nobody in America should really ever have to go hungry. I don't understand how, kids go to school and they say, well, we have to feed them at school because that's the only meal they're going to get. What? How does that happen? And when that happens, why aren't, the social services people who, want to get in your business over everything, why aren't they out there asking the parents, how come you're not feeding your kids? What do you need to do? There's no excuse for letting a kid go to school hungry when there are places literally that will give you food. And so this is I commend the people who are doing this. I commend people like Brad Paisley, who has set up a grocery store for people who have needs in Nashville, and that's a beautiful thing. That's a wonderful, wonderful thing that he's doing. And so, all I would say to you is, everybody's got a phone. Even if you're the poorest person in the world, it seems like you got a phone. Do your research. Get on phone. Find out where there is food available, where these places are. I don't know how it is here, but in D.C., they would actually bring you food if you couldn't get to them. They would deliver it to your doorstep. So, I don't want people to go hungry. I want churches. A lot of churches step up. Here in Watertown, we've got a lovely thing where, there's a shed where you can go, and if you need food, there's food in the shed, and you can take what you need, and they take care of people. And so the answer is not government. The answer is having people step up to help their fellow man in time of need. And I love this so much. I'm glad that there are people out there doing this kind of work. 30 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk.
Good evening. We are coming up on 6:30. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We've got sunshine. We are down to 89 degrees now. A traffic report and your weekend weather are coming up. We are hearing now from patients of one of two doctors accused in a federal indictment of supplying ketamine to Friends star Matthew Perry, who died last year. 5 people are now charged, including the 2 doctors. ABC's Alex Stone is reporting from Los Angeles.
At the clinic where Dr. Salvador Placencia works in Calabasas, there's a chalkboard outside advertising weight loss drugs like Ozempic. Callie Beeman says she was treated by Dr. P, as she calls him.
Dr. P was kind of a suspicious individual.
She says he was always willing to prescribe medications, would offer discounts for referrals, and treatments didn't work.
And how he didn't seem like a doctor.
A handwritten sign on the clinic door says it's closed for today.
We now turn to today's closing money news, and for that, here's Chuck Sievertson.
From ABC News, Wall Street now. Wall Street coasted to the close of its best week since last November. U.S. stock indexes drifted higher. The Dow gained 97 points, the S&P 500 added 11, and the NASDAQ index closed 37 points higher. A surge in optimism by Democrats over the prospects of Vice President Harris lifted U.S. consumer sentiment slightly this month. University of Michigan's index edged up to 67.8 after coming in at 66.4 in July. Americans' expectations for the future rose while their assessment of current Economic conditions sank slightly. California Governor Newsom has signed a bipartisan package of 10 bills to crack down on retail theft. It includes some of the most consequential laws to tackle professional crime rings in years. The new laws make it easier to go after repeat shoplifters, auto thieves, and stolen goods resellers. Benchmark U.S. crude oil and Brent crude closed lower today.
That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Hey, many of you have lived here for a very long time. You know that Eurofix has been in Middle Tennessee, the place to go for European car repair now for some 24 years. And we've all gotten to watch them grow. I don't know about you, but I love watching a hometown business take off. Well, now we are proud to announce the 5th location in Mount Juliet for Eurofix on Mount Juliet Road, right across the street from the Dairy Queen. Eurofix can now serve you, are you ready? Franklin, 100 Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and their newest location, Mount Juliet. It's a beautiful facility. Pretty cool getting to watch a small-town mechanic starting in a barn in the backyard of a single-wide trailer grow to 5 locations, repairing thousands of cars each month. At Eurofix, you get a 3-year nationwide warranty and a free loaner car with every repair appointment. Call this number, 844-EUROFIX. That's 844-EUROFIX, or visit myEurofix.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Let's call it 36 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk. Brian Wilson in the chair all the way till 7 o'clock, and then we will hand it over to, after the news, to Mark Levin, the great one, on this Friday. Glad that you're with us. Hope that you have had a good day, a good week, and that now you're headed into a good weekend where you can accomplish things. I always feel like my weekends are not complete unless I accomplish something. So I want to accomplish some things.
I don't want to accomplish nothing.
Yeah, I know. I mean, there's some days, some weekends, you just want to sit on the couch and watch some TV. I don't know, but whatever it is you want for your weekend, I hope that you find it. Hope you spend some time with family, and I hope that you get the rest you need so you can go back and go at it next week. But you know what? It's Friday, so I got some stories that they're all over the place. And none of them really go together, but I think they're interesting stories, and I think I want to get them across the goal line here before we call it a week. So, Chris, are you ready?
Ready.
Let's squish them. Secret Service plans to use bulletproof glass to protect Trump. The Secret Service has approved a plan to use bulletproof glass to protect former President Trump during outdoor rallies. He says he's going to do outdoor rallies, even though at first it said they weren't going to do anymore. The plan, first reported by ABC News, represents a shift in the level of protection normally offered to presidential candidates, as protective glass is typically only used for presidents and vice presidents when deemed necessary. But the agency's been working to enhance its protection of Trump. And so he will appear behind bulletproof glass. Panels of bulletproof glass will be arranged to shield Trump while he's on stage. I've seen them use this on rare occasions, especially, I guess in outdoor rallies, they really have some concern. The last time I think I remember seeing it was January 6th. When Trump gave his big speech, he spoke from behind bulletproof glass. But you don't normally see it. It's a lot more work for them. I will tell you what they usually do, and you notice how in the assassination attempt on July 13th, Trump dropped down, right? And so the podium itself is not, that travel podium is not like the one that the president travels with. It's not going to cover up much, but you will see in every event that a presidential candidate or a president or vice president appears at, that colorful bunting that goes across the front of the stage, that bunting is attached to like quarter-inch plate steel. I mean, when he drops down behind that, it's because he literally has a steel shield to protect him. It's the quick, and that's why I'm sure they told Trump, if you ever think you're in trouble, go down, get on the ground, quick, get behind that steel plate, because, we'll be there as soon as we can, but in the meantime, you just need to get out of harm's way. And Trump did that perfectly, actually, on the day of. He realized it took him about a second to realize, my ear's been hit, there's blood, and then the sound of, I guess, the gunfire and people yelling, he dropped quick. And if it hadn't been for that, who knows how this thing would have turned out. But now apparently, he says he's going back to Putler, says he's going to do another outdoor thing, and they will apparently use bulletproof glass when they feel like it's necessary. Story number 2. Don't believe the hype. Violent crime has surged under Biden. Crime Prevention Research Center President John Lott, this guy will always tell you the truth, has an op-ed out which explains that despite establishment claims, when you say establishment, talking about the Biden administration, violent crime actually rose under Biden and fell under Trump. Op-ed published by the New York Post, Lott explained that there are 2 ways of examining occurrences of violent crime. One is the measure of those crimes reported to police. The other is a measure of those crimes which are not reported. There are 2 ways, he says. The Bureau of Justice Statistics National Crime Victimization Survey asks about 240,000 people each year whether they have been the victims of crime in an attempt to measure both reported and unreported crimes. He continued, since 2020, the measures have been highly negatively correlated. The FBI has been finding fewer instances of crime, but people are simultaneously answering in greater numbers that they have been victims. As for the FBI stats, they're based on police precinct department reporting crime. See, I've always thought this was a sham deal because, look, I'm not casting any aspersions in particular, but I think many police departments want to leave a good impression that they're doing their jobs, and I think that the numbers get monkeyed around with. And when the numbers go to the FBI, nobody wants to be called into the mayor's office and say, why did crime go up? So they find a way for crime not to go up. But this other thing is pretty interesting, that they query almost 250,000 people to find out if they've been victims of crime, and then they figure out, well, on average, if this many people say they've been victims of crime, then these crime statistics that we're seeing cannot possibly be correct. So that is the case. And John Lott is a guy who knows how to cut through the crap, because I'm telling you, it seems to me that the federal government will do anything it can to protect the status quo. And I don't think that they are. I don't believe a lot of the economic numbers. I've been told by people who know the system, oh, no, the economic numbers are valid. I don't think so. I don't think they are. I think when you get these economic reports, I think that they've been manipulated in a way. Isn't it interesting with these economic numbers, how they come out later, like a month later? Well, we had to revise last month's report. And that doesn't get any coverage because the new numbers are out, and you're talking about the new numbers, but you're not talking about the revised numbers from the previous month. It's just a way that I think they can manipulate the numbers. Speaking of numbers, no more important number than your Social Security number. And again, this story comes that I think everybody should know about, is being underreported. We need to talk about it. Did I forget to squish?
Yes,
did you squish? Oh, I'm sorry. I ran right ahead of you, didn't I?
That's okay.
I'm sorry, Chris. I'm not respecting you
fine.
Like I should. Hackers have stolen an unprecedented number of sensitive personal information from billions of people around the world. Los Angeles Times reports that a group known as USDOD apparently stole a bunch of data from another company, a company called National Public Data. They claim to have gotten about, 2.7 billion records, which includes the person's full name, address, date of birth, Social Security number, phone number, along with alternate names and birth dates. Well, I mean, with that information out there, I have concern about people's finances, people having credit taken out in their name, and they don't know anything about it. And then there's one sentence at the very end of all this. Hackers could also rig vote counts in November if they have access to such personal information. This story needs a lot more reporting. And by the way, it might be a good thing to freeze your credit. When you freeze your credit, you're telling, don't let any other people get credit in my name. Because, you may have people out there that got this information who will take advantage of your good credit and cause you a lot of problems that'll take you be hard to put out. And if you need to establish credit, you can have it released on a case-by-case basis. So something to think about. Next, female athletes petition the Supreme Court to back trans bans. Large group of female athletes in 26 states petitioned the Supreme Court this week to take up a challenge over state laws that ban transgender women from competing against biological female athletes. In a filing Wednesday, 102 female athletes, coaches, and parents told the justices that physical fitness tests demonstrate there is a difference between men and women at every age. They urged the justices to take up legal battles over laws out of Idaho and West Virginia that protect female sports by banning transgender athletes from competing against women. Isn't this just common sense? Idaho, West Virginia have asked the justices to weigh the cases as their laws were challenged by transgender athletes claiming the legislation runs afoul of the Constitution's Equal Protection Clause. No, it doesn't. No, it certainly doesn't. So 26 states have filed on behalf of Idaho and West Virginia. And so will the high court take up the case? I hope they do. The filings came from, are you ready? Alabama, Florida, Alaska, Arkansas, Iowa, Georgia, Indiana, Kentucky, Louisiana, Kansas, Missouri, Montana, Mississippi, New Hampshire, Nebraska, Ohio, North Dakota, Oklahoma, South Dakota, South Carolina, Texas, Utah, Tennessee, West Virginia, Wyoming, and Virginia. All Republican states where they have Republicans in charge. You don't see any Democrat states in there, not a one. So that tells you something, doesn't it? And I got to tell you, if you want to know the one thing that I think will really resonate with women apparently are getting excited about voting for Kamala Harris. I need to know where Kamala Harris is on this issue. And I hope that somebody will ask her, because that's the issue that will a lot of soccer moms out there don't like this idea. I'm promising you, I was a soccer dad. I know these soccer moms. I know how they look at it. I had a daughter who played sports. I would be apoplectic if my daughter was playing against someone who was born biologically a male. Absolutely apoplectic. And I think this resonates with moms. This is a good issue for us, and we're right. It's the right issue, by the way. It's a good position to take. We're correct about it. And this will be the difference between, I think, for a lot of moms, well, if she supports males in women's locker room playing women's sports, then I'm not sure I could support her. I guarantee you this is a great issue for Republicans, and we need to get her on the record about what she believes. Because, she's going to have a hard time walking that tightrope, because she'll lose a lot of people as well. And that needs to be asked. That's got to be asked. And let's see. I'm trying to figure how much time I got left. I think I got time to get this one in. Kamala Harris. This is our next story. I forgot. Wait, 5, 6, where are we? I lost track.
5, I think.
This is Kamala Harris. I got to find the clip here. With deep thoughts about democracy. Again, she's ad-libbing. And she's talking about democracy. And it doesn't make any sense at all.
Because when we think about the strength of our democracy, I think that there's a duality to the nature of democracy. When it's intact, it's so strong in terms of what it does to uphold and protect individual rights and freedoms. Mm-hmm. So strong in its nature, and it's very fragile. It will only be as strong as our willingness to fight for it.
It's strong and fragile. Okay. Did you follow any of that? I didn't.
No.
And finally, scientists say that relaxing in warm water, whether it's a bath or a shower before bedtime, improves your sleep quality. Excuse me. I need some help. The reason could be that our body temperature dips lower in the evening, so a soothing shower or bath a couple of hours before you go to bed helps increase blood flow to the extremities. This makes falling asleep easier, according to BBC Science Focus magazine. The warm water helps to relax and calm tense muscles after a busy day. They did a study. They looked at an analysis of some 17 studies and found that taking an evening shower or bath in temperatures ranging from water 104 to 108, 108 is pretty hot, Fahrenheit, improves sleep quality. Those who bathe or shower 1 or 2 hours before bedtime fall asleep faster. This was especially true in older adults. 41.8% of U.S. adults shower or bathe in the morning. 38.4% do so in the evening. Now, I like to take a shower in the morning, but maybe I need to think about the evening shower so I sleep better. 50 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock. Are your retirement assets structured to minimize taxes? You got to think about this. Many hardworking Americans, just like you, could overpay on taxes during retirement because you can be taxed on your IRA, your 401k, and any other tax-deferred retirement account. Beacon Capital Management is here to give you peace of mind. You know, with the threat of massive tax increases on the horizon, your nest egg could be in trouble unless you take advantage of defensive tax-saving strategies now. Defend your hard-earned retirement savings by scheduling a free retirement tax reduction analysis today. No cost, no pressure, no obligation. If you've saved more than $250,000 for retirement, don't wait any longer to schedule your free retirement tax reduction analysis from Beacon. Just call this number, 615-488-9303, or visit askbeaconnow.com.